Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Diablo 4, and we're going to be talking about the problems in Diablo 4. So we're going to watch a video that I came across this morning. I watched the first couple of minutes. I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to watch this on stream this morning because the channel we're watching is Nick2. He's got 170,000 subscribers. He's played over 150 hours of the game himself. He's got a level 100 character, and he's got some problems with Diablo 4. I have some Diablo 4 problems as well. So basically, this is not a bitch fest, but this is, look, I'm having a fantastic time in Diablo 4, right? I'm loving the game. But as a person that also loves the game, this kind of reminds me a lot about Destiny, right? In the beginning of Destiny, I absolutely loved Destiny, but there was a lot of flaws with Destiny. And because our vocalization of there was problems in Destiny, they went along and fixed those problems. So this is what we're doing today, right? I'm going to give you my thoughts and problems with Destiny. We're going to listen to the video of his thoughts and problems with Destiny, with Diablo. Sorry, with Diablo 4. I already gave all my stuff about Destiny over the years, but I'm loving Diablo, and Diablo has these major issues: quality of life issues, problems with the dungeons, problems with a lot of stuff with end game content. We always talked about this upside down triangle as where you start in the game and you go across and it gets bigger and bigger as you go. This one is kind of stalled out a little bit, in my opinion, in where I'm at right now. And I'm only level 63, but I've put in about 80 to 84 hours into the game so far. And then with both betas, 3 betas, right? There was the closed beta, the open beta, and then the slam test. I have well over 100 hours inside this game. So I'm not the professional at it, but I put a lot of time into to give you my thoughts and what the problems are. What's going on, chat? Dabstick says they're marketing its Starfield expansion already. He says putting a paywall basic game storyline. I honestly can't tell I've ever seen an expansion released before the game comes out. I've already responded to him saying, let me introduce you to a game called Destiny, where they had 2 expansions before the first game came out announced, and we're selling it pre-order. What's going on, General? What's going on, Eddie? Stealth, Sarge, Kylo, Jesse, what's going on? Ruben, how's it going? So as we go over these video, this is not a crap fest on Diablo. This is about loving a game and showing its flaws, and hopefully they fix it. Now, they've made a couple of mistakes, in my opinion, already with these buffs and nerfs that they're doing with the dungeons. Now, I haven't even partaked in the reset dungeon. I'm still going around the map of, complete all the expansion. I'm trying to get all my renown done, do all the Liliths, do all the dungeons and stuff like that. I haven't even dove in because I know, as a gamer, with other past games, that when YouTubers and other people, these social aspect of this industry now, starts talking about a dungeon, it's going to get nerfed. If they start talking about a build, it's going to get nerfed. If they start talking about something, it's going to get nerfed. And that is what they're doing this entire time, right? They've nerfed a dungeon, then they go find another dungeon. Then they nerf that dungeon, then go find another dungeon. They don't want you, and this goes back to Destiny in a way, when Luke Smith, in the very beginning of the game, said people were farming that loot cave, right? The infamous loot cave. And they said, we don't want people to play our game by just shooting into a loot cave. Okay? And my thing is, let people play the game how they want to play the game. Water will find the least resistance. It's going to flow down to the bottom of the thing and try to find the least resistance. That's what gamers are. Okay? If it's the broad audience of gamers, or if it's a small little niche of gamers, okay, they're going to find the path of least resistance. Let them play the game. Because now you're going to nerf the dungeons, okay? And if you nerf all the dungeons, then they're going to find that thing out in the open world to go find. And they'll nerf that, and then they'll go find something else, and then they'll go back to the dungeons. And this is constant roll of, let me nerf, let me buff, let me do all this stuff. Just let the people play the game. But there's a business side of this, and they want you to be slow. They don't want you to level up super fast because they're afraid that you're never going to play their game again, instead of having fun and then just keep playing the game. What's going on, David Rhodes? Fallout 4 did that. So Bethesda done it before. Yeah, there's plenty of games that have sold expansions before the game even came out, right? I mean, Borderlands was selling expansions as well. Right, who cares? Let them shoot into the loot cave. Why do they care? Yeah, Yeah, it's so ridiculous. So let's watch this video. This is from Nick2.
Feel free to just click off of the video, but I imagine that's why the majority of you guys.
All right, here we go.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nick2. Today I am in the mood to complain, and I'm going to beg for Blizzard to fix their game like this guy is begging me for money. If you don't like negativity and complaining and stuff, feel free to just click off of the video, but
that also goes for me. If you don't like negativity or constructive criticism, just click off the video.
I imagine that's why the majority of you guys are here, all right? I want to preface the video by saying that I have spent about 150 hours playing Diablo 4 since the first. I've played way more in all of the betas, etc. But since the game has come out at this point, I've played for about 150 hours. I've gotten my rogue to level 100. I've tested a whole bunch of different builds. I've been making a ridiculous amount of YouTube videos. I've played my Sork. I've played my Druid, whatever. I put a lot of time into the game. And at this point, and a good bit before this point, the cracks really start to show in the game. And I kind of just wanted to highlight a lot of those.
Now, I'm going to agree with him. I before the game even came out and they announced certain things, I was like, cracks are showing already. I was like, but I'm a story guy. I want to play the story, which we did. We completed the campaign. So if you guys want to watch me play more of Diablo 4, you can come by knowing that you're not going to get spoiled with any kind of story elements anymore because we're done with the story. But I see the cracks before it even happens. This is not because I'm negative in criticism in any way, shape, or form. I see the cracks before it happens because I've been playing games since I was 3 years old, and I've played a lot of freaking games, and it's the same MO every single time, right? Nothing ever changes. Why? Because it doesn't have to, because they sell the game, and this is not a criticism towards Blizzard. This is just a game in looters in general, okay?
Cracks because it really is severely impacting my enjoyment of the game, and honestly, it just makes me sad because
I've never even heard of this person before, Kylo, and this is what I love about YouTube. I only have 1,300 subscribers on this channel. He's got 170,000. I know people that have never heard of me. I've never heard of him up until this morning when he was in my feed.
Because the game has such a high potential. I genuinely think the game can be like a 9 out of 10. But right now, might get a lot of hate for this, but right now I think it's like a 6.5 or a 7. Those cracks won't really start to show if you're like level 50, but once you start getting like level 70, level 75.
I'm already seeing these cracks for myself, not before the game came out. I started seeing them around 50. I'm 63 right now. I can really, really see the cracks.
I have level 80. You're kind of like, what am I doing? What is going on here? And there's a lot of just issues with the game that could so easily be fixed that I just want to highlight. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that the game is bad. I'm not saying that I'm not having fun. And before you start giving me a bunch of comments of, oh, of course you're having fun anymore. You've played 150 hours of the game. Right. You're burning out, stupid content creator. You're not supposed to be able to play the game for 1,000 hours. The whole point is the end game. The whole point.
Exactly. The whole point of a game like this is the end game.
Is to keep you playing and to give you a lot of time playing. If the game is supposed to only last for 100 hours, I don't know, go play like Legend of Zelda or something. That is not the point of these types of games. Maybe they're not supposed to last for 1,000 hours, but it's supposed to have a pretty substantial end game, and right now I think that is lacking, so I want to cover that. And just a couple other annoyances. With all those disclaimers and stuff out of the way, I'm probably still going to get a ridiculous amount of absurd comments, but regardless, let's just get into it. The first and single biggest problem that I have with the entire game, a lot of other stuff is just annoyances and just kind of weird design decisions. I logged into my SFan to better illustrate this, but my biggest problem with the game right now is the entire gearing reward structure.
Yeah, the gearing and reward structure is horrendous right now in this game.
Basically, what this boils down to is, as long as I am in World Tier 4, no matter what type of enemy that I'm fighting, it doesn't matter if it's some random goblin in the cellar or in the open world. It doesn't matter if I'm level 100 and I'm doing a Tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon. It doesn't matter if I kill Uber Lilith, okay? My chance to get this item or any other best in slot item is exactly the same.
Right, which is fundamentally broken in the game, right? If I can go out in the world and kill just some peon and it drops that weapon for me, or if I go against the hardest boss, like for instance yesterday, or for the last couple days anyway, yesterday was a big eye-opening for me. I played 9.5 hours and I got zero things to help my build go up 1 point. Right? Nothing could move my thing up a point or anything. I was just stuck at the exact same place. Never got. Now, that's just bad RNG, sure. But I fought a world boss or a event boss inside of the Helltide. I've fought him 3-4 times on stream now. soloing him, putting in time where I was level 60 the first time I saw him, or 59. He was 72. I fought him again at 60, 61, and 62. Okay. I beat him every single time. And every single time he's dropped Garbo. Okay. Now, I could fight that guy for 20 minutes and barely nothing drops. Or I could fight a regular peon person, hit, and all of a sudden it drops. RNG, it should be, at least in my world and everyone else's, I think the way you should think this way. If you fight something harder, there's a better chance of dropping a better weapon, not just a weapon, right? Or a piece of gear, right? And if you fight something low, there's a super uber low chance that something's going to get dropped. There needs to be something changed here, but everything in this world is the exact same drop. Doesn't matter, like he said, if you fight Lilith or if you fight just a little peon character in the open world.
So what this boils down to is I don't have a reason to do harder content. I'm just going to do easy content. You can see on my S-Fan tier, I'm level 55, okay? I'm not even high enough level to equip the Ancestral gear that I'm getting from World Tier 4. I played...
See, now I haven't had this problem. That's a stupid problem, okay? Because I'm level 63. I haven't even done the dungeon. I couldn't do it. I wasn't doing enough damage, right? To get to tier 4. Okay, I'm in tier 3. He's in tier 4 at 55. He's getting drops that he can't even put on his character.
I played this character for 30 minutes, and I instantly got basically a best in slot item. My roll is pretty bad, so you can make the argument, oh, well, you want to farm more to get a better roll. But it doesn't matter. The item power is 776. The entire point of getting this item is simply just the functionality of your storm skills around werewolf skulls, and this is basically a best in slot mandatory item for a certain druid build that I actually want to make. So I'm really happy that I got this, but I should not be allowed at level 55 to play my character for 30 minutes and loot an item and never have an incentive to replace it.
Right. He's complaining that he got a piece of gear that's too early, which is just lucky RNG for him. I wish I had played for 9.5 hours. He played for a half hour and got something well over his level, right? I played for 9.5 hours and got absolutely nothing.
You can literally log on to a character. I think max item power on an item is like 830 or something like that. It doesn't matter what content you're doing. I can do some random dungeon and I can loot an 830 item, or I can do a tier 100 dungeon and I can loot a 730 item.
Yeah, yesterday when we were playing with First, the last 2 nights, we were in dungeons, just playing nightmare dungeons and regular dungeons, and both of us were not getting any gear. All our gear was like super, super low. It's just like basically just, cannon fodder to just get materials.
What is the point in making my character stronger? What is the point in engaging with any of the endgame systems if I can just do incredibly easy piece of crap content that's in World Tier 4, such as just farming normal dungeons? Everybody and their mom is just down here farming runes of Eridu because there's...
I'm not. I didn't even know that was a thing until this morning.
There's no reason to do anything else. You have this entire nightmare dungeon system that doesn't have a reward structure other than leveling up your glyphs. To me,
yeah, and I think that's also another dumb thing. I thought Nightmare Dungeons were going to give better loot, better gear, better drops for my character. That's not the case. The only thing you're doing Nightmare Dungeons for, okay, is the glyphs. So here's the structure now, right? To do a Nightmare Dungeon, when I was playing with Paul Gaming yesterday, he was running through real fast because he was a rogue, and he was helping us clear the Nightmare Dungeons faster. And I came to this realization. I was like, well, I don't need to run around and grab all the gear. I don't need to run around and grab all the money on the ground, right? Because if it's a piece of gear that drops that I'm going to be interested in, it's a legendary. It's going to be there. And if I don't pick it up, it's going to get shot back to my stash back at town, okay? Anything else is just cannon fodder to throw into the vendor so you get materials, okay? You're not going to get a very good regular roll, okay? And on top of that, you're just going for the glyphs. Just the glyphs. So now your Nightmare Dungeon, the only thing you're doing, okay, is running as fast as possible to get to the end, to get the glyph, and then move on. Don't really worry about the money or anything like that if you're just farming the glyphs, because you're wasting your time. You just want to level up your glyphs. Because the loot that's dropping is the same loot that you could get. So the mentality of the game is kill everything and see everything, because it could possibly drop you the best gear in the game. But it doesn't matter if it's inside a Nightmare Dungeon or if it's outside and you're killing a little dog. It doesn't matter.
To me, Nightmare
Come on,
Dungeons are
Magic.
basically just a copy paste of Mythic Plus. Blizzard made Mythic Plus, and they made this problem to begin with, where Mythic Plus wasn't as rewarding. So guess what they did? They put the cash in the game. You know what happened with Mythic Plus? The participation skyrocketed. Everybody does Mythic Plus now. It's probably one of the best parts of WoW. Because
What he just said there for WoW, right? This is the same company that made WoW, even if it's not the exact same developers, but they made the Mythic stuff in WoW and made people on the player base was like back and better because they could get better gear. And yet in this game, they didn't do that. They just made you're just leveling up glyphs.
because you can actually get rewards from it. But the second that you stop getting rewards at like plus 15 or plus 20, guess what? The participation completely tanks because nobody wants to play the end game if they're not getting rewarded for it. There's like a 1 or 10% of people that are competitive. They want to challenge themselves or whatever. The entire integrity of the end game just crumbles when you don't have a reason to make your character stronger if you can literally loot the best items doing nothing. If I can just walk around and
Yeah, it's just RNG. It's just literal RNG.
I have a higher...
Right, I hear what you're saying, Kylo. You're getting good drops, and Boss is saying, yeah, I got good drops in Nightmare Dungeons. I've gotten nothing. We've done like 15, 20 of them. I've gotten nothing from them, right? And again, it's just RNG, lucky or not lucky or whatnot, which I already have a problem with. I've always had a problem with that in looters, right? You have to have some consistency of doing... Nightmare Dungeons should be a better percent chance, but it's not that. It's not that. It's literally just anything you kill in the game has a possibility of dropping a piece of gear.
chance doing Runes of Eridu normal mode mobs or Champion's Demise with my friends. If that's the most efficient way for me to get the best gear, why should I care about making my character as OP as possible if I can already one-shot everything in Champion's Demise? The whole point of the Nightmare Dungeons is that it is scaling difficulty. So the whole point should be that your item power potential that drops should scale up, or at the very least, you should get higher loot, or sorry, more drops from doing Nightmare Dungeons.
Right. More potential of more legendaries dropping, not just random RNG loot. More legendaries drop in Nightmare Dungeons. The higher tier you go, it should be better loot possibility.
It is insane. It is asinine. It does not make any sense. I do not have a reason to play my rogue. I don't want to play my level 100 character because the best way for me to make my power stronger is by doing piece of crap normal mode dungeons where I literally one-shot everything, and it doesn't matter what build I put on. My character is so strong with all the power that I've accrued that I'll one-shot everything pretty much regardless of the build that I'm using. So why should I care about making my character stronger? But that's the whole point that I play this game. That's the whole point that anybody plays any loot game. Do you think anybody would mythic raid in WoW if they didn't drop loot?
The way I hear what he's saying, and a lot of people that play the end game stuff, they just want to see that number, how high they can get that number, right? That's the driving factor. How powerful can I make my character? Even though your character is already deleting everything in the game, he wants it where, well, he doesn't want it, but most people just want to how fast they can delete something. So if you killed something, if you can kill a boss in 50 seconds, they want to see if they can kill it in 30 seconds. They want to see if they can kill it in 10 seconds. They want to see if they can kill it in 5 seconds. That is their reason to get the loot. But what he's saying is, if I can already delete it, what's the difference if I level up my character if I can already delete everything that's in the game at this level?
No, there's no point anymore. There would be some people like Limit and Echo and other guilds that really just like doing that progression. I was in a top 10 guild at some point. Would I have raided if there wasn't loot? Probably not. And I think about half the people in my guild wouldn't either, because we want to increase our character power. That is the whole point of this game. That is the whole point of these games in this genre. It is a looter game. Why in a looter game can I get a best in slot item from doing some random crap, but Uber Lilith or tier 100 Nightmare Dungeons doesn't drop better gear? It is unbelievable. I've repeated myself 100 times. This is probably the single worst part of Diablo, and they could simply just fix it by increasing the item power drops per tier that you go higher, so you actually have an incentive to make your character stronger, because the higher Nightmare tier dungeons that you can do, the higher item power that you can acquire. If you want people to be able to just raffle stomp noob content and get literal best in slot items, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe have a really low drop rate or a low chance of getting high item power when you're doing noob content, and make it to where higher Nightmare Dungeons just simply drops more items and has a way higher chance of item power. That would be fine. But the fact that right now the state of the game is just doing random crap dungeons.
At this point, it's almost the same conversation we had back in Destiny, right? or even Division, where you would have, remember this conversation we would have in Destiny and the Division, where if you get up to a certain level, you shouldn't receive any lower tier gear. Like, for instance, once you go from white to green to blue to purple, purple to, right, you should never receive any more greens after a certain level, right? Because it's just waste of time. It's a waste of a drop. Instead of a good drop, it drops a white, it drops a green. They should no longer be there. In tier 4, you should probably not get crappier drops, right? I mean, you even saw in his footage when he was running through, he wasn't picking up a lot of the stuff on the ground because it's not even worth his time, right? And that's always been a problem in looters, and until Division, right? Where Division makes it honed in on target loot. So sure, if you're looking for like an SMG or you're looking for a piece of gear, you can get all that gear all the time. So yes, there's going to be lower tier ones, but you're all getting just SMGs. You're just getting all ARs. You're getting all backpacks, whatever. Where here, it's a wide open pool of everything, and that's why you're getting the junk and whatnot. Titude says, good morning. I'm worried that the scaling will hurt me in World Tier 4 because I can't get the right stats on my gear. Leveling increased the scaling and could hurt me farming for the right gear. Right. Water says people play 500 hours and expect to continue to super hard. No, that's not what he's saying, though, Water. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that the gear that's dropping, he got a level 55 character, and within 30 minutes in there, he got the best roll gear that he can't even put on, right? This piece right here that he had in the very first slot, his level 55 character can't even wear it, and he did just a random thing, and it dropped from a peon in the world. Meanwhile, he's doing the Nightmare Dungeons, the hardest content in the game, and he's getting nothing. He's getting no drops. That's what he's complaining about as one of the problems inside this game. General says, I feel like every game I start playing, I eventually find out everything is hacked and worthless. I don't know. It's going to be a problem in this game or not, but it seems like it's a widespread problem. That seems more of a general problem in the industry, I think, General, what you're talking about. I don't know if that's going to happen in this game itself. Horseman says, my item power level is all over the place, too. I get it all the way down to 700, and the max is 822. So from like level 70 to 100 is just completely random. Right, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Yesterday, again, I played for 9.5 hours. I didn't get one piece of gear that made my build better. And I get that's super RNG, bad luck on my part, but it's been a couple of, a day and a half of playing consistently, and I'm getting absolutely nothing. And all the stuff that we got yesterday and all the Nightmare Dungeons we did. Now, we started off on the low tier Nightmare Dungeons, but we went up to level 19, which is about the level that I'm supposed to be at, which is supposed to drop stuff. And I was getting stuff at like 400 and 500 power level, right? I was just like, well, this is garbage, considering the power level I have on my gear now is like 700.
And that is the most efficient and best way to getting items. That is terrible. Right now, they keep trying to nerf the dungeons. Everybody's farming.
No, I didn't see that, Water. So you're saying that the druid's drops aren't dropping like they should. They aren't working to resolve, and they're working to resolve the issue. Well, we were playing with First yesterday, and he's a necromancer, and he was getting the same exact thing. He was getting nothing that could help his build.
I mean, the dungeons, because they're so lucrative, you're Band-Aid fixing the problem. You're not fixing the problem.
Let me rewind that, what he's talking about here.
Efficient and best way to getting items. That is terrible. Right now, they keep trying to nerf the dungeons. Everybody's farming the dungeons because they're so lucrative.
And this is another thing, right? So people are going to find the least path of resistance. They're going to play the game, and once they're done with the campaign, or once they try all the different things, if they tried the hell tie, they try the thing, they're like, well, how? The goal first is get to 100. Okay. The second goal to get to 100 is get the best gear while I'm getting to 100. Okay. And then you're like, well, how do I do that? Well, what's the best way to farm stuff? Well, the best way to farm stuff is elites. They give you the most XP, so that'll get me up to the thing. Well, they also drop the most gear. And you're like, okay, cool. So you go into a dungeon, and you start farming the dungeon, which I haven't done at all yet. Okay? I'm just kind of just clearing out the map. Okay? So the conversation we're about to have now, a lot of people that are casual are going to be like, I don't see a problem. I'm never going to have this problem. And you're absolutely right. If you're a casual player, you're never going to have this problem because you'll never even get to this point. But the people that play this game and they're like, well, they should get a life. They shouldn't play this much. They expect that. That's part of the game. In the very beginning, he said this game is not supposed to last 100 hours. It's supposed to last thousands of hours. Okay, that's what type of game a looter is. That you can just keep going with different classes and do all these different things. But the problem is that they're nerfing all the stuff. So they're like, okay, the small community, right? If it doesn't matter, right? If the casuals don't care, and the small community that's playing the dungeons gotta be bigger than you think. Because they're just going into a dungeon, and then they nerf that dungeon. Then they find another dungeon, and they nerf that dungeon. Then they find another dungeon. And they keep nerfing. And they said that we will keep nerfing dungeons until the point that dungeons won't be a necessary thing, which then they automatically kill their nightmare dungeons, and they'll push you to like the hell tides. And then they'll push you away from hell tides to push you back into certain maybe tree life. What is the tree called? The tree of life. Right? Maybe they'll push you towards that, and then they'll push you back into dungeons. They're going to keep playing this dance routine like it's a tango to try to get you and force you to do. Don't do that. Stop it. Stop doing dungeons. Stop doing hell tides. We don't. Just let people play the game and make the drop rates better.
Your Band-Aid
Whisper, thank you. Tree of Whispers.
You cannot blame the players for taking the path of least resistance, which is going to be farming noob content to get all their items, okay? If there's a fastest and most efficient way, they are going to take advantage of it. If you simply cannot get higher item power...
Okay, listen to him. Listen to him again.
...of least resistance, which is going to be farming noob content.
Yeah, path of least resistance, noob content. People want a challenge, but they also want to get drops. And if I can get the drops from the low guys, why would I go to the high tier guy? What, to push myself? What, so I can put on my resume? I did tier 4, tier 5, tier 16 in Diablo 4. Bravo.
To get all their items, okay? If there's a fastest and most efficient way, they are going to take advantage of it. If you simply cannot get higher item power items from doing noob content, then guess what? Everybody will start doing nightmare dungeons. It is not the player's fault for doing what is most efficient and most beneficial to them. It is the developer's fault for not implementing it into the game properly.
Right, because the mentality is, I want to do the hardest difficulty. I want to do the hardest stuff. Then you go do the hardest stuff, and you're like, well, I'm not getting anything. Well, I just got something from the low tier guy. And they're like, what? I've been farming the hardest tier content. So you're telling me I can get the same stuff when I can just one-tap everything? Yep. Okay.
Actually designing the game around doing harder stuff. I was a little bit all over the place, and sorry if I got a little bit animated there, but it is unbelievably egregious that the best thing for me to do is the easiest content in the game, and at this point I feel like I don't have a reason to...
And that is a major, major problem. That's a broke mechanic in the game. Instead of doing the hardest tiered content, doing the lowest tier content will get you the exact same stuff.
Play my main character, and that's all I want to do. All I want to do is play my main character and make myself stronger, but I do not have an incentive to make myself stronger, which makes me not want to play the game anymore. And all I want to do, all I've wanted to do for a decade is to play this game. So it really just makes me sad, and they could fix it in literally 10 seconds, and I think that as more people get to the end game, they will realize there's no reason for...
That is the point right there. When he says, when more people get to end game, then they'll fix it. This is exactly what I've talked about in other looters like Destiny and stuff. When a small percentage, remember when the Vex Mythic class came into Destiny and only one person got it because it was a cool story. Guy was sick. They made him this gun. Then they put it into the open world. And then it started dropping for people. And then people started like just deleting other people in the game. They never touched the gun. They didn't fix the gun. It was just absolutely wrecking people in PvP. It was destroying things in PvE. But then more people started getting the drops. And when that percentage gets to a certain extent, they're like, well, we're going to have to nerf the gun. And everyone's like, well, I just got my gun. Someone's had it day 1, and the other person gets it day 364. Okay, and they're like, sorry, we got to nerf it. And you're like, oh, see, so when a certain percentage gets to the point, then they're like, all right, well, we'll fix it now.
For me to make my character stronger because everything gets raffle stomped anyways. Pretty simple thing to follow. I don't understand why this is how the game is right now, and this is the single biggest problem that I have with the game, but I want to highlight some other problems that I have. First of all, I mean, all of us know how unbelievably disgusting the inventory is. I don't even really need to talk about it.
The inventory is horrendous. Horrendous.
Everybody's beat this topic to dead. Beat this topic to dead, is that a saying? I don't know.
No, it's not a saying.
Gems taking up inventory space is disgusting. Aspects taking up inventory space is disgusting. If I want to play multiple characters, my inventory looks like...
Right. And this is a bigger problem than I even know of, because I've played multiple characters so far, but I'm just leveling them up real fast. But if I have my barbarian and then I have my druid has his whole stuff like filled in here, and I know someone's gonna be like, well, that sounds like a hoarding problem. If I have 5 characters and they're all sharing the exact same storage stash, okay, the only thing people are gonna do is start to use their other companions or other characters as mules. That's what they'll use them for. They'll keep making character after character after character just so they could throw gear at them so they can be mules. Right? Horseman's already doing it. I'm using my ults as a mule. Exactly right. Okay? That is a game-breaking bug in the game. Not a bug. Game-breaking decision on their part. They're like, yeah, we're only going to give 4 things. Right? 4 things for all of their characters. The gems don't even need to go in a stash. Okay? They could literally go into this endless thing. They could just be just this endless like a magic wizard bag that you're just pulling the gems out of. Nope. The gems have to take up the most spots possible, right? Because you got the small gems and the bigger gems and the bigger gems, and they're adding more gems down the road, so it's just gonna get worse. Right? I swear to God, if they charge for extra storage for real money, I'm fucking done.
This with just aspects on my rogue, you're literally incentivized to save aspects that have high rolls. So I just have an ungodly amount of these. I literally have created mule characters at this point to have a bunch of gear. All of these tabs are literally just for my rogue, and then this one is for my sorc, and my sorc I haven't even played that much. My inventory is permanently full while leveling up.
Imagine that, mule characters. Where have we seen that before?
Up to 100, I got so sick of dealing with inventory that I became apathetic to any items that were dropping. That's the state of the game. You become apathetic to what is dropping, and you stop caring.
I gotta rewind, because I'm gonna rewind. What I've been doing on stream, because I don't want to bore you guys when I'm going through all my inventory, looking at what the stats are, right? So I take everything I have that I'm interested in, I just throw it in my stash, and then off stream, I go back and I clean it up and break things down and do all the stuff, because I don't feel like going live for 2 hours and going through my stash trying to figure out what's good or not on stream.
Looks like this with just aspects on my rogue. You're literally incentivized to save aspects that have high rolls. So I just have an ungodly amount of these. I literally have created mule characters at this point to have a bunch of gear. All these tabs are literally just for my rogue, and then this one is for my sorc, and my sorc I haven't even played that much. My inventory is permanently full. While leveling up to 100, I got so sick of dealing with inventory that I became apathetic to any items that were dropping. That's a...
Well, he was loving. He's like, fuck it, I don't even need it. I don't want to pick it up. I don't want to pick it up because you know why he didn't want to pick it up? Because he didn't want to deal with the inventory that he had to do afterwards. Like, think about that. That's what Path of Exile does? What, they endless gem thing, Behemoth? Is that what you're talking about? It's annoying when a game initially conveniences you and then provides the option to pay for convenience, like Fallout first with the stash situation, unlimited junk, scrap box. You're supposed to pick up everything and sell it or salvage it. You can do that, but it's more of a pain in the ass, boss. When he was trying to level up, he's just like, I became apathetic. I didn't want it unless it was something like major. Like, you would pick it up, try to go through all the stuff. He doesn't want to go through the setting of, all right, well, I'm going to go through each of these pieces because it takes forever to do.
State of the game. You become apathetic to what is dropping, and you stop caring about increasing your power because it is annoying to do it. My entire stash was full of legendaries. I had to spend 2 hours.
Imagine that. Imagine me saying this before he even says it.
After I hit level 100, sorting everything, scrapping things, it is just a nightmare. I don't want to talk about it too much. If you've played the game for 2 hours past level 60, you're going to have a bad time. Your inventory is not fun to deal with. Another thing,
he's talking about the inventory system, boss. Talk about the inventory system. It's horrendous. I love how, boss, you are the best gamer in the world. You know everything about everything. Everyone's other criticisms are just absolutely garbage, right? You know everything about the PlayStation. Everything is that every game you play, you're the master of, and no one else's criticism can say anything.
This is pretty minor. I don't know that it really needs to be fixed all that much, but the reroll costs are like unbelievably egregious here. This one I've only rerolled like one time, but this I think I've rerolled this like twice.
Like the rerolling going up 100,000, 200,000 for each spec.
Like my amulet here, I guess. 2.4 mil, and it just keeps scaling up. It already costs a lot with the souls. It already costs a lot with all the craft.
He's saying he's getting so much stuff that, okay, your inventory's full. Go back to the thing, sell it. Go back to the dungeon, pick up the stuff. He doesn't want to deal with that. They're looking for the best pieces of gear, and then the stash is completely full.
Materials, 2.4 mil, unbelievably expensive. It is just exorbitantly expensive for no apparent reason. I do think that it should be somewhat expensive to get best in slot items. I don't think it should take 20 hours of farming gold to even have a chance to roll my amulet to just the one stat that I want. And there should be a better way of displaying this. If you don't know about this website, this is basically where you can tell what rolls there are. But on the amulet specifically, there's like 100 different rolls. The chance that I'm going to get what I want is pretty low, so it shouldn't cost me 3 million gold per reroll, scaling like 20% higher every reroll, whatever. Another problem that I have is the Paragon board. The Paragon board, in theory, is really good for somebody like me particularly, who really likes min-maxing their build. You like the integral little, like, oh, I got this tiny little bit of damage increase. Oh, if I take, this 1 point out of here, I can move it up here and get this damage reduction. Or if I take the points out of damage reduction, I can get a little bit of damage. And if this rare node is on this board down here, if I move this board down here, I gain access to the additional bonus because the bonus requirement scales up depending upon how far.
Yeah, but you got to respect, you got to delete your whole board.
Far the rare node is from the bottom, whatever. There's a lot of little nerdy things and lots of ways to increase your power incrementally, which I quite like. A lot of the nodes are pretty boring, but that's perfectly fine. I think that this is a really good system for somebody like me and for people that like to do build crafting. It's not overly complicated, but it is not overly simplistic either.
Right.
I think that they executed it pretty well. I like the glyphs, even though a lot of them are pretty lame. The problem that I have with this, there's about 5 different problems. One of the main problems is that it's difficult to tell where you really want to path because the board doesn't really open up to you and you do not get to test things. So if I want to take like one point out of here, it's going to
cost you millions of dollars
like pathing
to
this
test
way, or see, okay, maybe if I take the point, out of down here, I can start pathing up here, whatever. But I can't do that. If I want to replace this node or any of these nodes, guess what I have to do? I have to delete my entire board to do that. And if I'm just leveling up and
that's just stupid.
I just want to think to myself, oh, when you're leveling up, this is what happens, right? You unlock this first board, okay, and then you get your board attachment, and then it's like, all right, which board do you want to choose from out of the 8 boards? You read a node that sounds good, you're like, all right, I guess I'll pick that one. And then you have one board opened up to you. It's hard to tell where you want to go, and most people at this point, they'll just open up a guide. That is not fun gameplay. You should incentivize experimentation, and you should...
Right. That's a problem, right? So the problem is, and anyone that defends this, you're a moron, because if you're looking up guides, you're not doing it yourself. That's a bad fundamental build inside the game, right? If I can't experiment, you don't want to waste your time, because if you're a person that's a casual gamer and you want the best build, you're just going to go online and look up the guide because you can't experiment, because it's going to cost you way too much money to move the stuff because you don't have the time to go get the actual gold that you're doing. So it's like a one-time chance for you, right? And if it gets too high, then you're going to be like, well, I'm going to have to go up a guide and then look up at a guide. And you're not really playing the game at that point. You're just getting the best build that you think is out there, and that's what you're going to do.
Let people do like a testing mode so I can see where I might want to put all of my points, which boards I want to experiment with, etc. What most people will resort to doing is just going onto d4builds.com and then they will, or .gg, sorry, and they will just make their build, or they will just simply copy a board from like Maxroll or something.
Which is still stupid because you have to go outside the game to go to a third-party site to go play to go practice what your build would be.
You can't even like export or import like you can with Dragonflight talents. You have to manually. What I did is I literally put my game into windowed. I put this like this. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this point here, this point here, this point here. And if you mess up 1 point, your life is over, dude. You're like, oh, where is this 1 point? I don't know. There's like 240 points. What am I gonna do? Okay. The single biggest problem that I have with the board, which has happened to me multiple times. So let me display this on my D4 builds. I literally make builds for a living. This is what I do. I make YouTube videos of builds.
That's more of a niche for him personally.
My favorite thing to do in games. So Diablo is a perfect game for it. And the Paragon board is a perfect extension
I have not
being able to optimize builds. And it's a really fun thing to be able to interact with, right? So previously, I was playing my rogue with traps, right? So for my second board, I was going for the legendary node where I deal increased critical strike damage to enemies affected by my traps. Then I was thinking, okay, you know, I kind of want to play without traps for a little bit. Traps are a little bit annoying. I better not get any trap meme comments. But traps are a little bit annoying, okay? I want to swap around to something else. So I looked at my board and I was like, all right, I kind of want to try exploit weakness or whatever. How can I put this in? And then I realized, oh, this board is attached to every other board other than my first one. So if I just want to swap this one board out, you know what I have to do? Even if I want to keep all of the rest of these the same, which is what I did, I have to refund every single node in every other board, and I have to redo the entire thing just to swap.
That sounds like a really good idea, right? That's amazing, right? They're like, let's make it really complicated and stupid and convoluted. So, you know what? They'll just make another character. Not a big deal.
Swap this one board. Not only is that unbelievably annoying and a time sink, and I'm literally forced to make it in a separate program or a third-party website just so that I can accurately copy and remember what I did, unless I just want to take a bunch of screenshots and stuff.
What, you don't have screen
But I have
capture?
to make it here anyways to even think of my build, to make sure that it works, make sure I unlock my nodes, etc. But not only is that enough salt in the wound and just wasted time, but it costs 39,000 gold per node, okay? You have a total of 225, so if I want to reset my entire board, let's do
It'd be like 8 million.
225 times 39,000, okay? It cost me nearly 9 million gold.
I was off by 775,000.
Just to be allowed to reset my board and experiment with something that is quite honestly already tedious enough to experiment with, because if I want to swap one node around, I gotta delete my whole board. I can't just experiment. Okay, how many points is it if I want to get up here? I can't just put in a bunch of points. The way that they need to fix this is, boom, remove the cost. The cost is ridiculous. 2, set up a testing mode so that I can just put points wherever I want, and if there's not a connection, scream at me in massive red letters, there is not a connection, you need to fix it, your board is disabled until you fix it. That is all that they need to do. Until they do that, this is incredibly annoying and unbelievably punitive. I don't want to swap my build around. I literally make builds for a living. I make YouTube videos on builds for a living, and I am not wanting to try different builds because this exists. Because if I want to swap a board around,
I mean, you just got to go out there for 8 hours and pick up all the stuff in all the dungeons and go back to the thing and then sell those and then go back to the dungeon and pick up the things and sell them for more gold so you can then delete your board so then you can spend it. I mean, come on. It's not like they're respecting your time or anything.
It is just like such a waste of time, and I feel bad doing it when I'm streaming too. It's like, oh guys, I gotta do my build homework, I gotta do my board homework, I gotta spend an hour resetting my board, and you guys have to watch me do it, and I have to make it in this little thing here, and I have to put my game into windowed and show this. Like, it's unbelievable, man. Let me just do a testing mode, let me get an import code, let me
No, you don't even need a testing mode. Let me just change my build.
Plop it in there and just let me play the game. Let me do what I want. Why is it so hard? They literally had all these problems in WoW for the last like 8 years. I don't understand how you make a new game and you have all of the same problems that were present in WoW that has ruined WoW. Imagine in Dragonflight they make the new talent thing, but every time you want to respec, it costs 10,000 gold to do it. Oh, well, no one's going to interact with the talent points. I wonder why no one wants.
Well, just go grind dungeons. I mean, I don't understand the problem here, guys. Just go grind dungeons for the next 6 hours so you can get and sell all the gear so you can go respect your one thing to try out the build. And if you don't like it, then you're going to have to go grind another 6 hours so you can change it back.
Wants to interact with our new talent tree. You think anyone wants to do this? No. The second that they hit level 50, they're going to go, all right, dude, what am I supposed to do? I'm playing rogue, man. Let me go on max roll.
Exactly. This right here, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, so he's going in.
Blue, what do they got?
Yeah, let me find the build guides. Let me find the tier list. Let me go to the third party. Let me go figure out. Instead of experimenting with my own tree and trying stuff, now I'm just going to go to YouTube and find the best build.
I don't even know what build I'm playing, but sure, all right.
Boss, it's not about... You're so simple-minded, dude. Do you understand that even if I pick up all the stuff and go back to town and then sell the stuff, and then go back into a dungeon, and then sell the stuff, which I did yesterday for 9.5 hours off of 2 streams, okay? I sold every single thing that I saw on the ground, plus picked up all the gold that was on the ground. I have $8 million right now in my bank, okay? So great. When I get to level 100, I can now respect my druid one time for the Paragon board. It's stupid that I have to grind for 6 hours to change my Paragon board.
I guess I'll do Twisting Blades because, I mean, they don't even have the other skills, so I guess I'm just forced to swap to Twisting Blades. All right, where's the Paragon board? All right, leveling up. All right, here's what they want me to do. All right, I'll do this. The whole point of this system is experimentation, is fun, is messing around with it, choosing literally your own path. And the way that that is implemented in the game right now, it only serves to diminish the entire point of the system.
Right, there's no point.
And I hate it. If it functioned like I was saying, where you could just do a testing mode, or it didn't cost money to reset things, or it wasn't unbelievably annoying where you had to go one by one, like, why is there not a reset all button? Why is there not a reset all button? Is this real life?
Yeah, they can't get to it.
It would be a good system if I could mess with it. Unbelievable, man. There's some other problems with the game, like there's way too much CC, there's not enough unstoppable, there's not enough vulnerable applications. Vulnerable damage is the most broken stat in the game, and there's like every build is pigeonholed into the same skills because there's like 3 different ways to apply vulnerable on every class. Necromancer literally sucks without using Bone Spear because they can't apply vulnerable pretty much. Every single Sorc build uses Frost Nova. Rogues are pretty cursed unless you're using Puncture or Blast Trappers for vulnerable application. There's some other stuff that's pretty annoying, but the most egregious things to me are the Paragon board reset, thing just costing gold for literally no reason. I would rather make a new rogue at this point that is a ranged rogue
that's what
than I would swap
Rod Ferguson told us in the very beginning last year, 8 months ago. It'll be easier to make a new character than to respect your character. And that is one of the worst parts I said of the game before it even came out.
On board every 10 seconds to accommodate for a new ranged rogue. Also, like I said, the biggest problem is I want to do the end game. That is what I play these games for. I want to make my character powerful. I want to make videos on best tier 70 plus nightmare pushing rogue build. I don't have a reason to do that. I don't even have a reason to make my character strong because before level 100 I was one-shot nuking everything in the map. So why should I care about getting my character?
But the fact, though, boss, that they have it in the game the way it is right now, even though their own other game that's in the studio, inside of Blizzard, of World of Warcraft, that literally has a different mechanic on how to respect your skills, and they chose to do it this way, is ridiculous.
Character more powerful. That is dumb. That needs to be fixed insta, and it could be fixed insta with a hot fix. Just add a reset all button to the Paragon board too, man, and stop making it cost gold. Sorry for the rant. Sorry for going in 300 different circles and directions with my complaining, but that is what a rant is. Hopefully I got you guys fired up. I don't know. Maybe that's not a...
I want to see, there's another person that was, I think Al Weezy put it in chat the other day. Let me see what this other one is. Is this...
Hi, Scissorin here with another video, and this is going to be a things I think Diablo could improve video, so this might come off as a little bit negative. For those wondering my rating of the game, I actually give it like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10, which is very high for me. I rate Path of Exile as an 8, sometimes maybe a 9 out of 10. I think it's a really good base for a game and a great skeleton that Diablo can keep building on, and I'm really excited to see what they do.
Barb spin to win.
But I wanted to make a video about all the things that I didn't like and things that I think they could improve.
Oh, did you guys see this?
And why?
Boss posted this the other day in our Discord. Did you guys see this? Well, let me show you this freaking this is real, right? This is real. "100% real. Look at this. This is a barbarian. I don't know if you guys can count that high. All right. I don't know if you guys can count that high. Yeah. Yeah. Million, billion, trillion. That's a 4.2 trillion crit hit. That is absolutely. Look at his regular hit. Do you see his regular hit? 615 billion. Yeah, that's his normal hit right here. This is his normal hit. That's ridiculous.
Really wanted to preface that because it might come off as a bit of a ranty video or a negative video because, well, you know, I'm not really going to be focusing on the positives in this one because they don't need improvement. So, first one. Before this started, Diablo 4 didn't have a map overlay, and I thought I was going to hate that. I did. I really hate that. It's awful. And if you're watching stream,
I didn't understand this either. The map overlay, right? And I get from the artist perspective, they said they don't want to put the layover because then you're not really playing the game. You're just looking at the map overlay. But my question is, why can't I have that choice as the player, right? You as the artist make the game, and you've chosen not to put a map overlay, even though all the other games have had map overlays, right? Why can't I, just like I could put the health bar or move the thing at the bottom or, you know, make the UI system the way I want to look at? Why does it hurt, like, the other player if I have a map overlay on my game? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I want to have a map overlay in the middle of the screen, how is that hurting the game? Do you know what I mean? Nice, Stealth. Congrats.
Streamers, you'll see the large majority of them are opening the map every few seconds. And I very often see comments, people saying, oh my God, this looks awful. Why is there no map overlay? It's great for the people that don't want to use it and really want
if you don't want to use it, then don't use it. But if I want to use it, let me use it.
to be immersed in the content. But this is a video game and a lot of us don't really care about being immersed. We just want good quality of life features. So having the option for a map overlay would be absolutely huge. And at least the majority of streamers I know all are kind of miserable about the fact that there is no map overlay. There's not really that much else to say about that. Just please give us an overlay as an option. Not everybody has to use it, and the ones of us that do are spamming.
I guarantee you that if they put the map overlay in, more people would use the map overlay than not.
M right now. Another thing that's interesting is that the mouse speed is sort of feels a little bit like it's built around console because it's, well, it depends where you have your cursor. So the closer to your character you are, the slower it is. That means that if you have your character here, you're a lot slower than if you have your mouse all the way at the edge of the screen. I had not noticed that myself, so I've just been running at a slower speed than I could have been because I would have had my cursor here, which is slower than having it all the way at the edge. So yeah, I had not really noticed that. That should probably be changed.
Hey, wait a minute. Does he have... Yeah, okay, they have the same thing. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I had not really noticed that. That should probably be changed. I guess there could be like a walk key if you really want to role play walking through town like this. But yeah, I'd rather like holding...
Wait, so you move on the PC, you move it farther away to make him run faster? Why don't they just make it the right click?
Shift or control or something would slow down your horse, and just always having run at max speed would probably be nicer. The world itself scaling up to level 95, I don't think is a good thing. I see a lot of benefit for why people want scaling, because then you can...
Let me rewind that for a second. No, the further you have the mouse away, the faster it goes. Interesting.
I don't think it's a good thing. I see a lot of benefit for why people want scaling, because then you can play with your low-level friends on your high-level character, and they will be just as useful as you are.
I hate the scaling.
Maybe even stronger sometimes, because you actually are getting weaker every time you level. That is why I'm against scaling. I feel like leveling up in an ARPG should always, in every way, just be a pure benefit, where if you're not getting an important node and you're not getting an important Paragon thing, you are actively getting weaker every level up here, and I don't think that's good. And obviously, if you're not getting gear upgrades, I don't personally think that's good. There might be people out there that do. Obviously, my way isn't necessarily the right way, but I do think the game would really benefit from limited scaling, because this means that if you, for example, say you have a level 100 character and you want to try a different build, you actually need to, on the build you're currently playing that already is strong, you need to farm up a whole new build with every piece of gear being strong enough to fight the new content, and then do a complete respec at once. You can't spec over with a few items, because then you would be ridiculously weak compared to the new high-level monsters you're farming, because you can't go back down to lower levels and still find relevant gear. If you went down to world level,
you can change your build, but incrementally here and there, but you can't change your build. If you change your build while you're at that level, you're going to be way under level, doing the exact same thing that you were doing before, right? The way the game is structured now is that I'm leveling up my druid. My druid is par with the course the entire way. But now I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do that build. Now, to change, I have to spend the 8 million at max level, right? The 8 million. And then I have to go find the other gear to do that, which takes hours and hours. But while I'm doing that, I am now doing less damage. I'm doing less damage to the things I was doing the accurate damage to, because I want to change my gear. So this is why Rod Ferguson was like, it's just easier to make a brand new character.
Level 3, you're now finding sacred items instead of ancestral, and the elites are still as high level as you are. For example, if I go to World Tier 1 right now, I will still be fighting level 105 elites. Another problem with the scaling, and I've made...
Hey, listen to that again.
Elites are still as high level as you are.
Nope, hold on, sorry.
Of gear being strong enough to fight the new content, and then do a complete respec at once. You can't spec over with a few items, because then you would be ridiculously weak compared to the new high-level monsters you're farming, because you can't go back down to lower levels and still find relevant gear. If you went down...
Right. So even if I switched my build now, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm getting my ass kicked in Tier 4 now. Let me go down to Tier 3. You're not going to be finding gear for your build. I think they make the game bad on purpose, so it makes it look like they're doing something when they prove. Yeah, that's called what was it called? Something obsolescence, right? They do it on purpose, so it looks like they're doing something to make it better, right? They're listening to the community, they're doing different things, even though it's planned from the start.
Down to world level 3, you're now finding sacred items instead of ancestral, and the elites are still as high level as you are. For example, if I go to World Tier 1 right now, I will still be fighting level 105 elites. Another problem with the scaling, and I've made a separate video about this, is that the dungeons go all the way up to level 95, and if all you care about is levels, it invalidates the Nightmare Sigil system, and these are still good for glyphs, but, you know, you could just level through these. The Lilith statues, I don't actually mind too much.
Manufactured obsolescence. Thank you, Sarge.
I enjoyed that. They weren't too bad. As far as, like, farming for renown, I believe you only have to do the Lilith statues once ever for the stats. You will have to do them again if you want the renown for them. But, yeah, all my characters now are starting with 75 all stats. Yeah, running them was pretty fun. I am very happy that there are maps out there for the actual where they are, because some of them are, there's no chance in hell I would have found them. Some are like, you kind of see like, oh, there's a little crevice here, a crevice there. So you could just run like there, and there, and you're gonna find them. But there's no way I would have found all of them by just playing the game. It's also kind of hard for me to see them. However, a really unenjoyable farm for me was the last.
This is why we play the game, Sips
Some of the side quests.
Yeah, but do you understand, like back in the day, pick any looter boss where it doesn't scale with you. So when you do make changes, you can go back down to that lower level inside your level, like your tier, to start building up again. So then you can go back into the same tier you're doing. But because everything is tiered scaled to you, it makes it basically there's no point to change your build.
That's were pretty cool, but
no, they reset each season to get the renowned, but you only have to do it once to get the stacks.
Some of them are crazy long. Sometimes you'll get one side quest, which is do an emote for 20 renown. That's fine, right? It's whatever. But there are some where it'll be like a 20-minute side quest for 20 renown. And when you don't know which ones are good and which ones are bad, it can take a very long time. I found that farming these three were very easy. They were good and I enjoyed it. And, you know, a lot of it is just, yeah, do every dungeon. And that was pretty good. But the last one was okay. This one was very, very punishing. This felt like a chore. It was not enjoyable. For those that have reached the final one, I would love to know sort of like a breakdown of how many people liked it and how many people didn't. From my chat, a lot of people are saying they really didn't. And also doing the strongholds for renown was very, very cool. I enjoyed that. And the renown run wasn't that bad except for the last one. For items, I actually quite like the item system. I would love to see some sort of Val Orb like Path of Exile where you have like a big risk reward thing, maybe as a rare drop. And maybe some sort of divine system. Maybe having a boss that you can kill. I think Diablo 4 could really benefit from more endgame bosses. Lilith, I think, hasn't even been killed yet on hardcore. Maybe
That's another thing I don't like, that they've limited the world bosses to once every like 6 hours or whatever it is, right? I don't understand why they don't want people to farm bosses, especially since the loot that drops from them is not the best gear in the game. It can be, but the gear that drops from guy in the middle of the world to drop at world boss, there's a potential that you can get a world boss drop type of thing. But let me farm it. Let me farm it. Make it every other hour. Make it hour. Make it each boss show up on the map. It's this one boss but across the map, right? Let me farm the bosses.
Woody has managed to kill her now. But either way, very, very hard fight. And I think having a few bosses like that, like making Andariel have an endgame version, and maybe the fact that you could then kill Andariel and divine an item. So that would mean, you know, the dexterity here would reroll between 42 and 63, the ice shard.
Even if you farm farm the world boss, right? It's once every hour. And it's a 15-minute long fight. And most of us now can kill it. We killed it yesterday in 4.5 minutes with 4 of us. I think it was 5 of us at level 60, 61, right? And we killed it in 5 minutes. So even if you farm it, now you're done. Now you have to wait an additional 45 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever it is, right, to get to the next boss if you could farm it every hour.
Would reroll between 3 and 4, and a lucky hit chance would be between 8.1, 16.5, etc. Similar to
I've done it twice, Grim.
Games. Like having the ability,
both by mistake. I just happened to be on when they were going on. One went off at 7:55 in the evening, and then yesterday it went off at noon, I think it was.
Ability to do that could be pretty cool. It doesn't necessarily need to happen either. There's a very good benefit by having to just keep farming new gear. So
they're like loot pinatas, Horseman. The only reason it was hard in the beta is because we were level 25.
I'm actually pretty happy either way. That's just one idea for something that could be a cool boss reward. I would also like to see more unique items. I think the ones that are in are really cool right now. And even if there are shit tons of strong unique items, you definitely would.
I literally did the boss battle yesterday, and I didn't use one potion. Didn't die. Didn't do anything. I sat right underneath him, and I fought. I don't even know his name. The one with the big chest attached to him, right? Not once did I get hit by him.
Would still need to have legendary items, and you probably wouldn't be doing a full set of unique items, even if there were very many more. Some form of crafting as well would be really, really cool. I would love that. A reason for having white items, blue items, etc. And another thing that Diablo 4 needs, in my opinion, which will come over time, is just more things to do at the end game. Right now, it is just running dungeons or night.
I think the end game right now with the nightmare dungeons, and then the hell tides, and then the world bosses. What else is there? Whispering Tree. I think those are good, but I do believe there needs to be more.
Nightmare sigils at the end game. There's not that much else to do. The tree thing, the bounty stuff, didn't seem super worth.
But they'll probably do that over the seasons and whatnot, right?
Doing. And the hell tides are actually quite nice, but other than that, it needs a little bit more stuff to do at the end game, and I think that'll come with time.
I did 15 to 20 of them yesterday, boss, and I got nothing. Nothing.
So I'm not too worried about.
The only reason I was excited doing them is so I can upgrade my glyph.
about that, and we're really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in Season 1. Another thing that a lot of people have been remarking on is that the open world can feel a little empty and lifeless. I wish we had sort of some settings here. I wish there was a setting for people like me that don't want anyone else in their world. I don't mind that it's open and lifeless, and I want to be the only person in my world. I don't want to wait on monsters respawning, etc. And for those that really want like more of a MMO,
Yeah, that's the bad part about open world. Like if you're going around killing things and someone's right in front of you killing things, then you're like in this loop of like you have to go to a different section to do it, right?
feeling, maybe they should have access to that where there are more people in the world and not just 10 or 12, because in such large areas you're never seeing anyone, and there are people that do want that MMO feeling where you are running into people. For the story, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't care that much for the text-based story. I'm not a big fan of like reading and waiting for things to happen that are slowing me down, but what I do enjoy a lot is the cinematics and stuff, especially the cinematic when they go to hell that we had already seen before Diablo 4 came out. I almost called it Lilith 4 there. It's so weird that Diablo's not in the game to me, you know? But that trailer, like, you know, we got an expansion to the trailer kind of thing, like more cinematic, and it was so cool. Especially the part where Inarius does like the wing.
What I didn't like is they showed this way before the game even came out, and basically it's one of the best cutscenes in the whole entire game.
Spin. Very, very cool. I don't want to spoil too much of what actually happens in the Hell trailer, but very cool story. I do feel like Diablo 4 would have benefited more from having us actually have a choice, because Lilith, even especially at the end, seems like absolutely the good person in this, because she wants to pull humanity out of the eternal conflict. And by killing Lilith, all we do is ensure that the eternal conflict keeps going, and we're immortal. Doesn't matter to the demons, doesn't matter to the angels. They just die and respawn, die and respawn. So, you know, that was a little odd. Lilith is definitely the good person here, and I think it would make a lot more sense for humanity to side with her and help her. The music, I wasn't a huge fan of, and what I mean by that is I like the music when it's playing, but it's mostly just ambiance.
Yeah, it's ambient music.
I have personally been listening to the Darktide 40k Warhammer OST, and I've been having so much more fun killing enemies and stuff, especially when it syncs up with a really banger soundtrack. And I'm not really vibing with the ambience that much. I know a lot of people are saying they like it though, so it's not objectively bad. Boss design is a bit of a weird one. You have some that are really, really boring.
Boss fights, as of right now, for me, in Tier 3, are the easiest things to kill. I have more problems against the elites than I do the actual bosses of the dungeons.
And recycled. Some of the dungeon bosses, like, you know, the Den Mother and stuff like that, you'll see very often the same boss in multiple dungeons, and there's not that many, like, different ones there. So obviously that's a little boring, but then you have some really cool ones, like Andariel, Lilith, and a few of the dungeon bosses are...
Especially my build. I literally have my Fat Thor build where I stand still, pop the lightning, sit there, and the longer I stand there, the more power I do. I don't move. And I just stand next to him and shock him, and then that's it. They don't do anything to me.
Quite unique and different. I really cannot wait for them to get more time to put out more things like Lilith, more things.
Now, when I was in the beta, and I'm running around as the rogue or the barbarian, I was given problems. Right now, in at least in Tier 3, I'm just murdering them all.
Secondarial, make Uber versions of those. It's so cool. I love that. I can't wait to see what they're going to do for boss fights, because it seems like they really do have some cool things up their sleeve there. A really bad thing about Diablo 4 is the UI. And I'm not talking about visually right now, because I don't really give two fucks about visual things like the text being bad or visuals being bad. That's not that important to me. What's really important to me is functionality. The fact that there's no search makes the entire thing feel like it's built for console. It's very, very frustrating. Like, the search is some sort of weird keyword thing. Why would I want to click on keywords? I want to type in movement speed, strength, and see. Like, first off, I want to search my stash. We don't have that functionality at all. And there's so many like things in like the Paragon tree that I would like to search for.
That looks pretty shitty. I haven't used it myself.
And we just don't have that. And that is very, very frustrating. And it feels a little bit like some things have been super prioritized for PC and some things have been super prioritized for console. And it ends up being really, really weird mixed match. Another thing as well, the fact that we can only have 4 stash tabs. I was playing a little bit with Woody yesterday, and his theory was that they're going to introduce more stash tabs as a reward for each season. So
Oh, God. If that's true, that is such a shit move. It's such a shit move. I mean, if it's free, I guess, in the season to make you play the season to get the stash, I mean, I guess it's better than charging real money for it, right? I swear to God, if they charge real money for get extra stash places in your inventory, that's gonna be shit. If they put it behind the season free track and not the paid track, fine. Yeah, if it's on the paid track, that's some bullshit.
the more seasons you play, the more stash types you get. But I don't understand why they don't just gate this behind gold.
Yeah. Like, if you want to keep raising the price, and it's 300,000, then 500,000, then $1 million to get more stash spaces, then let me do that. Stop with the limited. Get the gems out of the inventory system completely. Just put them in a satchel by themselves.
They could easily have us have 20, 30, 40 stash tabs for people that want to like prepare things for multiple characters and they want to save up cool things, uniques, etc. to play the game long term. And it's just very weird having 4 stash tabs. I feel like pretty much most people are really struggling with that. And a lot of people have done similar things to old Diablo 2.
People are just making characters to have mules. That's what they're doing.
Where they're making a new character to be a mule and hold things like gems. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, there's a
it's dumb that the stash is like that. So I need to wait for the right piece of gear before using it. Yeah, once you use the aspect. So if you find a piece of gear and it has a really good aspect on it, do not use that until you're like set and in your old like next build, right? Like end game. Because once you take that off and input it on that, it's imprinted. And once it's imprinted, you can't kick that off. So you're going to have to find that one again out in the world so you can pull it off the thing. Mules are normal, but in this game, not needed. Well, it is needed. And it shouldn't be. They should just keep adding more stashes. Just like the other crap you pick up, you can have crazy amounts, but want gems in inventory is bonkers. Yeah, it's so ridiculous that the gems are in there. So ridiculous. You don't need 100 pieces of gear, boss, but as you're leveling up, right? Again, on stream, I don't go through all my gear. So I just throw it in my stash, right? And then after I'm off stream, I'll go in and clean it up, okay? But as you're leveling up, you're looking, you're like, I don't know if I should use this piece of gear because you might be something better. So then you get rid of that one. And then you're like, oh, should I got... So you kind of like save it. And that's what the stash is for. Because you don't want to make your end build until later. So you're slowly going up. You want to save your good pieces of gear for later on. Why are the gems capped at 50 stack? That's another stupid thing, Tiny. Like, why can't that be 99? Is it gonna melt the game? Is it gonna melt the game? Yeah, because let me get into the game. Right? I cleaned. You saw my stash yesterday, guys. My stash yesterday was ridiculous. Everything was full. Every single slot and every single chest. And I organize my thing, right? Because I like organization. You guys see me play survival games where I put, like in Valheim, I make all the boxes and label them and put everything inside the thing. Right? I don't want to hold 1,000 different things, but it's dumb if you're playing multiple characters and they're all sharing the same stash, right? So if I'm playing a barbarian and then I'm playing my druid, they're sharing the same stash. So if I start farming with one guy and I have all these different things, that stash gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Why is the game happening here? Okay. No, my stash in Avengers is the same problem that we have here. They were shared between what? 12 characters? 11 characters? If you're playing one character, then there's no problem with your stash. That's another problem, Tiny. Why have something in a game that you had before and then remove it from this game? Yeah, but you're playing one character, boss. The people that are playing multiple characters, that stash gets smaller. The stash of 4 bins with 50, that's 200 spots. Now you have 2 people, two characters. Now you're down basically to 200 slots. And then you're down to 100 slots if you play 4 characters. They're sharing all the same stash. You carry gear longer in the previous Diablos because the world moves with you. It creates a consistent mid-maxing situation. You keep finding stuff and looking. If you don't upgrade your gear all the time. Right, Hilly, right? And that's a major, major issue. Is my account is locked. What happened? And now it's fine. Yeah, I'm banned. Here. Right? Yesterday, all my stash was full, right? Now look, I got rid of everything that wasn't sacred, right? Went through it, went, nah, I don't need it, because sacred is going to be better than the other ones, right? Now I'm in tier 3. Then I have, if you didn't notice, I have my armor, I have my weapons, I have my jewels, and then I have, which this actually I have to change because this is jewelry now, right? That's gems. What would be this one? That's weird. It's not letting it's not changing it. There we go. Right, so I have all my armor in one. Right? And as we go, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to break this down yet and make it into an aspect. Because I was out of money before. So I was like, oh, I'll throw it in there. And then I destroy stuff and whatnot. Then I put all my weapons in a certain thing, just in case I find a weapon that has the role that I want, or maybe I want to switch down the road. Okay, then I have all my gems. And sure, I guess I could break these down and put them into, just put them at the higher tiers. But then I gotta grind for that for right now, so I just put them there. And then I have my jewelry, right? This is just one character. Obviously, jewelry can go across the board, right? So that's not a big deal, okay? But weapons are exclusive for that character, right? So now if I have my barbarian, my rogue, my sorcerer, my necro, and they're all sharing the same stash, there needs to be more stash tabs up here. And they limit it to you at just the 4. I know I'm not going to be wearing all that, but I also don't want to break down something, for instance. Okay, so this one's damage elite Enemy grants you a barrier absorbing up to 2,182. I don't need to break that down and pull that out if I have another one that does the exact same thing, but it does 2,522. So I don't want to waste money, okay, by extracting certain things and waiting. I'll just wait to see if I get a better piece that does more than that, right? Why would I waste extracting that, and then I get a better one, and then I have to extract that? Hoarding gear under level 90 is pointless. I'm not at your level. I'm at 63. I'm not at tier 4 yet. Right? So I'm leaving the way it is until I can figure it out. Just like Hilly said, because you're scaling the entire time, I got to keep something so it can scale with me and move up. I honestly think the design of this game to play like one character similar to Destiny, but the hardcore players complained so they could have seasonal model instead. So they changed it at the last minute. Yeah, but the main character and seasonal content are two different things. Right? Grim? They're two different things. Page to unload and burn the extract page, 2 and max rolls. The result is over 110 million and nearly maxed out materials and tons of enough to do what I want until season 1. Hoarding gear under level 90. I already read that. Yes, only extract perfect rolls. That guy, don't listen to him. He has no clue what he's talking about. Which one? Who? Yeah, I don't want to like I upgraded these boots. These are my other boots, right? I'm like, I don't want to get rid of them yet. So I'm going to wait. Right? But I'll probably get rid of that. But I already got rid of all the regular legendaries. Now it's just sacred. Keep it just sacred. Okay? Unless the legendary is something big or a regular one that I can upgrade to a legendary. But for the most part, I'm just like, yeah, no. I just get rid of it. There's no reason. Which guy are you talking about, boss? No, that's not idiotic, though, at what he's doing. He's looking for certain things. If it doesn't drop, and that's another thing. If a legendary drops, you don't even have to pick it up. You don't even have to pick it up, right? It'll automatically go to your stash. Automatically go to your stash. Here, there's another video of Dark Microtransaction. I've been watching him for like a couple years now because of Marvel Future Revolution. Let me find him real fast. Is this the one?
Every mistake I've made while leveling
guy's
towards
good
100 in
information
one
because
video.
he
The
just
first one is
constantly
going to be
tells you.
not looking around for blue missions before I start doing dungeons. I've done every dungeon in the game, but there's plenty of missions that are literally sending me to dungeons. So at this point, I'm getting nothing for doing the dungeons, no codex rewards, no renown, just the experience from doing the dungeons. So get all of the blue missions you can beforehand. Number 2 is literally happy in this video right now, not going to the world bosses when they show up or forgetting about them. There is no announcement in the game for these, so you literally have to look on the map consistently in order to see them, and the world bosses will give you legendaries, all kinds of good things, so don't miss your world bosses. I have made it barely in time for this world boss. There we go, boss is completed, and now we get to get ourselves some nice loot, and we get ourselves an easy ancestral, and we get to see if we got an upgrade today. Not an upgrade, but I'm glad I went. Number 3 is forgetting about Hell Tides. You need Forgotten Souls. These come from Hell Tides, which show up on the map randomly. You can see there is one right here. If you ignore these, they're only up during certain times. And people very often keep telling me, well, I don't like PvP. The Hell Tide has nothing to do with PvP. These are zones that are just have minions in them.
Yeah, I do the
Farm,
hell tides all the time.
You get these Forgotten Souls, and the Forgotten Souls are what you use both to upgrade your gear to the maximum as well as reroll your enchantment. So if I wanted to reroll the willpower, for instance, I would need a Forgotten Soul to do so, and now I have a 10% attack speed, which I like much better than the willpower I had on these gloves. So do not forget about Forgotten Souls. And just so you can see this, upgrading items to the maximum takes these same Forgotten Souls as well. And you need 6 of them for a weapon, so it's quite expensive. You can see 2 of these with the gloves. I'm actually going to get attack speed bonus, critical strike damage bonus, and lucky hit bonus from that upgrade. So that's actually a pretty big upgrade just by getting those Forgotten Souls. And those Forgotten Souls will be your stopgap, your bottleneck for upgrades. Here's another big upgrade. Look at this, 1%, 1.4%, movement speed even. So I'm going to take all of those while I can. Number 4 is probably not carrying Whispering Keys with me at all times. I don't think this is a big deal, but there's a lot of dopamine to be had. Basically, these Whispering Keys here, these things are only cost 20, and you get these silent chests around the map as you're walking around. And the silent chests aren't even really that good, but what's honestly annoying about it is you'll see this chest, and you're like, a chest, it looks shiny, I want it.
Get some keys.
And you try to open it, and you're like, I don't have a key, damn it. And then you're not going to go back to town because it's a loading screen and all that, so you just forget about it. But then in the back of your head, you're like, I wonder what was in it. Honestly, just load up on some of these. Do a few events, just load up on them. I'm not saying that these keys are the best thing in the world, but like it will make a better experience in your game. Number 5, I think, is one that we've all done, which is forgetting to upgrade your potions. Your potions actually do upgrade, and look at this. I need Forgotten Souls again. So the Hell Tide is required to upgrade my potion, and look who doesn't have it. So literally, I'm getting trapped into the exact same mistake. It's perfect for the video's sake, but I'm getting trapped into the exact mistake I just told you guys. Number 6 is one I've mentioned a lot, but it is worth repeating. That is placing aspects too early. If I get a perfect row such as this one, I place it on just a minor upgrade until I get more of a major upgrade, therefore wasting the aspect. You cannot extract imprinted aspects. Once you use an aspect once, it is 100%.
Did you guys hear that? Don't put your aspects on. That's what I said. Don't put your aspects on unless you know you're going to use that down the road. Save your best ones for down the road.
Consumed and will only be on that item. For that reason, be careful with them. Speaking of aspects, number 7 is going to be using the wrong aspects on the wrong type. You see, offensive aspects, the ones that basically increase your power of your character in terms of offensive capabilities, will only go on one-handed, two-handed, gloves, amulet, and rings. But the ones that are utility will go on helmet, chest, boots, gloves.
Yeah, Big T, I watched him. I've been watching him for about 2 years because when we played Marvel Future Revolution, he was very knowledgeable and stuff. We used to watch him all the time. Then he went over to Diablo Immortal, and now he's over here on Diablo.
An amulet. Because amulet gives a 50% power, and because gloves are also offensive aspects, using utility on these slots for the most part is a mistake for most of the build. It's not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time this can actually be a crucial mistake, as you need basically all the offensive ones to go on the offensive spots for your character, as those are the ones that are typically more important for DPS output. There are a few builds where this is not the case, but just keep it in mind. The reason the amulet is also so important is because it stores basically the most amount of aspects and gives you a 50% bonus to your aspect, whereas the weapon, if it's a 2am, will give a 100% bonus. Number 8 is picking up every legendary item. This might be a weird one, but if you're actually trying to speed run through stuff, just don't pick up your legendary items until you have 10 of them, because your legendary items will actually go to your stash if you don't pick them up, and it will save you time while you're like farming. You pick up one item.
Exactly. You see? Don't pick up your legendary items. They give you missed items, give you an extra 10 stash spot for not picking them up. So picking them up actually. So don't pick up legendaries, right? Don't pick up 10 legendaries. Pick up everything but the legendaries, and they'll go into your stash, and then you'll have 10 extra spots, and then when you get back here, then you can look at them and then get rid of them.
You read the status, I have an upgrade, no it's not. You can do this all at once. Just wait till they go. They'll go into your inbox. You can now go look at them all at once and see that's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one. And you can either right click to bring it to your inventory, so you can go salvage it, or you can left click and put it within the actual inventory of your box, therefore filling up the box just like that. So just a little min-max tip. No,
anywhere, water. Your legendaries will get pushed to you. Doesn't matter if it's in the dungeon or in the real world.
9 would be not getting the altars of Lilith when I did the waypoints. You see, what happened was I went through the story, got lots of waypoints. I ignored all of the...
Yeah, your ancestrals will go there as well, though. Anything higher than legendary will go into your stash. Because I didn't pick up my ancestral because I didn't know it happened because I was working with First. He killed something off screen. I got it, but I didn't get it until I got back to the actual stash.
Altars of Lilith while I was walking around. And because of that, when I went to go do the Altars of Lilith, yes, I had the waypoints, but I also was literally backtracking, and it cost me easily additional hours. So for this reason,
don't? I got mine in my
map I've talked about many times on this
thing.
channel. I will once again post a link in the pinned comment.
I swear to God, yesterday it was in my at my stash.
When you're doing the primary story, just keep one eye on that tab of interactive maps. You're like, oh, this story is really close to this altar, so you can divert. If you're like walking right past here or something for the primary mission, you can just hop up here and grab this altar. This will save you a lot of time in the long run, because one of the first things you want to do as soon as you complete the campaign and have your horse is you want to run around and get all the altars, as all of these stats are massively important. Number 10 is a little bit of a nuanced one for people that are doing generation classes like Spirit Generation, Mana, etc. And that's not working on your resource generation as much as you're working on damage. DPS is
once I get to tier 4,
actually
I'll
a combination
not pay attention
of damage,
to them anymore.
Available output, as well as ability to output the damage, if that makes sense. So if you do not have Spirit or Mana generation within your build, mostly this comes from rings. Sometimes it's going to come from Paragon boards.
Oh, okay. I got an ancestral legendary. That's why it went to my thing then, is what you're saying. Yeah, I know yellows don't go there. I'm talking about... I got this one right here. Here. This piece right here came to my stash. Where is it? I got this piece of gear right here. Went to my stash yesterday. The Sacred Unique Chest Armor. That was in my Lost and Found when I got there. I did not pick that up. I got back here and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that was there.
You can see I have maximum spirit on kill here as well, and then sometimes key passives, things like that. If you do not have a focus on that and you're always drained, you're not doing a lot of damage, are you? All right, and I'll throw in as a bonus tip on this one, same thing with damage reduction. If you're dead, you're not doing a lot of damage either. So the other parts that are keeping you alive and generating the mana in order to actually...
We literally just went over what he said. I said only 10 go there, then you'll have time to look at them, and then you take them out.
Do the damage are crucially important. 11 for me is not realizing gems could be upgraded, so I threw away tons of them. You can actually slowly upgrade these gems all the way. For instance, there are Royo gems now, so if I upgrade all of these, all of the previous gem types I have will now be upgraded, and it's been data mined. I showed in a previous video that there's going to be even more gems coming to the game, so don't think that once you have all of your flawless gems or royal gems in each of these, you're like, oh, I'm done. We're not done. There's apparently going to be more, is what the data mine is showing, and these gems are going to be important, so I'm going to put my resources into leveling them. And of course, your 12th mistake would be not visiting the live stream, as we have a pretty poppin' live stream every single day here at twitch.tv/darthmicrotransaction. This will be in the pinned comments as well. I would appreciate y'all coming by. I am loving live streaming. I fell in love with...
Yeah, he's a good streamer. He's starting to get recognition now. I think it's 4 years. He makes good content. Gives good information right off the bat. I think he's got another one. happening here?
Imagine that's why the majority of you guys are here, all right?
Why won't it? I would like to search. Thank you. Come on, chapter 8. Let me tell you, videos like this make the game seem less and less fun to start playing for people like me who haven't started yet. What do you mean? Videos like what I'm making or videos that we just watched? I mean, he's giving you information for the people that want to watch the information, right? Like if you want a tutorial video of how to build a cabinet, you search how to build a cabinet, and that person shows you how to build a cabinet. So if you're a person looking for information, he's one of the people that's giving you information. He's not giving you hacks or things to do. He's like, these are the mistakes I made. Yeah, he's giving tips. How does that hurt? They're only lining their pockets. I guess. Killing the adventure. There's no difference, though, in what he's doing, that if you were playing the game and your buddy came in and then you gave him information of saying, well, you don't want to do those things, just do these dungeons because this is the best gear. Right? There's no difference. The difference is that he's getting it out to the masses and you're getting it out to one person. What's going on, B? It's a hard concept. I won't beat a horse. I mean, I don't understand, though. That we just watched. I just mean that he seems like you spent half an hour managing game mechanics for every 10 minutes you play. But I see what you're saying, Chapter 8. You're saying that they're exposing, and this is my analogy, I don't know if you ever heard me say this, but certain games, certain people see I use the Wizard of Oz analogy, right? The great and powerful Oz, okay? Everyone believes in the great and powerful Oz, but then when you know there's a guy behind the curtain, it kind of ruins the magic, right? So you're saying you're interested in a game, and he just broke it down to you saying that do this, and now it broke the magic for you, and now you don't know if you want to get the game because he basically ruined it for you because now you see it. Yeah, I mean, while you're saying that, though, boss, you literally, in chat, just gave a bunch of tips of your experience going through the adventure. So you're a hypocrite by saying that the only difference is you're not making money off of it, and he is. Tips that don't delete the adventure for you. I mean, he just told you don't delete certain things. You just said the same type of thing. You just said don't delete your aspects. Keep the god rolls. Like, you just ruined the adventure for people as well. I'm ruining the adventure for people as well. Yeah, but how did he ruin your experience? If you want to watch a video on how to build a cabinet, you type in how to build a cabinet. But if you're a person, this is an argument that's so stupid at this moment right now. Because you're like, he ruined the adventure for people. If you're looking for the answers, you're going to look. It's not like someone just scrolled down and just picked a random video and was like, oh, he just ruined it for me. It literally says it Like, I don't understand. I don't understand your premise here. It literally says 11 huge mistakes I made. Oh, well, I'm playing the game. I don't want to make huge mistakes, so I click on the video. The purpose of the game was to learn it all on the adventure of leveling and learning, and it was good. That wasn't good. That is such a shit take. Something like that, I'm not criticizing him or the game. It just made me realize this isn't the game for me. But is that a good thing or a bad thing? Chapter 8, right? Because if you were on the fence and you're like, oh, maybe I'll like this game, but then you saw something that you didn't like, that means that you're leaning more towards not liking it. So then he saved you money, right? Because if you really didn't care what he said, you would still buy the game and then go, ah, it's all right. I'm still going to get it because of the pros of the cons. General, it's all about the adventure. I'm supposed to take nitrogen and then light it with the flame. I want to see what happens. It's part of the adventure. I mean, I don't understand your take here, boss. He's ruining the adventure, but you not you personally, because you didn't search this, because you're watching me and I put it on there, letting people know that it's 11 mistakes and across the board, and he was talking about stuff. If you didn't want that, you could change the channel. You didn't have to watch. Do you know what I mean? Hard concept for someone not beating a dead horse. I mean, I literally make money by talking about stuff like this on my YouTube channel. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I literally make money on beating dead horses. It doesn't affect me at the end of the day. I'm optimal and I have fun, not crying about the game. So it's all good. But who's crying about the game? Who's crying about the game? Wait, you guys are crying because you're well informed, or because you're upset because you're well informed? I just don't understand. I want to build a cabinet. Here's me beating a dead horse. I want to build a cabinet. I go on YouTube and type in how to build a cabinet with oak wood. Right? And then the guy's like, this is the steps. I'd be like, fucker just ruined my magic. It's all about the adventure of building the cabinet by myself. I don't know why I went on the YouTube and typed in build a cabinet with oak. The point of the game is to be the most powerful you can be. Why wouldn't you want to look up how to do that and inform before you play? Some people do, and some people don't, Kylo. Some people want to do the adventure for themselves, like I did. I didn't look up any builds for my character. I just did the thing. But to have a standpoint of saying what Boss is saying is that he ruined the adventure, the people that are searching for that stuff don't give a shit about the adventure. They want to know because their time is worth something. They're like, well, I only have 5 hours a week to play. I don't really, because if you make a mistake in this game, you're basically screwed. You screw yourself for tens, hundreds of hours if you make the wrong mistake. So they look it up, they search, and they go, I don't want to make a mistake. Oh, this guy has 11 huge mistakes I made on Diablo 4. Well, I don't want to make those mistakes because I have limited time to play the game. So then they push the button and they watch the thing, go, okay, good to know. I'm not going to make those mistakes again. Yes, good thing for me. But yeah, if you wanted to play a game and not ruin the adventure, don't watch videos like this. That's like buying the guidebook and then complaining you have it. Very true. Now I can understand in the context of right now that you watched me and I watched him. So if you came in here thinking that you weren't going to see something like that, that's understandable. And then I ruined it because I brought that video up, right? But in the context of people being ruined of their adventure when they go literally on purpose to go look for something like that, that doesn't make any sense to me. I made my own build, like I said. I'm optimal. So did I. I made a fat Thor build where I don't move and melt things. I didn't look up anything. I didn't go to any videos. I didn't watch anything while I was going through the campaign or doing my build. I still even haven't looked up a build yet for a druid. Yeah, I just wanted my time to be the most optimal. Since I worked 55 plus hours a week, I want to be informed to do what I to stay informed on the game. Absolutely, Kylo. Going back to that conversation, though, Water, the fun of this is making your own builds in these games. And this is why when we watched the very first guy, and he was talking about his builds and how he just wants to respec without costing 8 million gold. That's one of the major problems for me in this game, right? Because if I do want to change my build to do it, to make the gold that I want, right? It doesn't cost me 8 million because I'm not that high. I'm not level 100. I don't know what it would cost. Where would I go for that? Let's see. Each one costs 1,000 for me right now. I don't know how many. Does it tell me how many points I have into the thing? Four, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I have like 100 or whatever. It'll probably cost me a couple $100,000 to just reset my specifics. I'm not really too far along in the Paragon, right? But once I'm level 90, 95, and I'm like, you know what? I want to change my build. To get the money to build up, like I have 8 million now. He said it would cost 8.7 mil to respec the Paragon board. That to me is a terrible method, because if you want to experiment, just like I said 8 months ago when they first said, hey, yeah, you're gonna have to make a new character, I thought that was dumb, because yeah, it's about experimentation to make your builds, right? Regardless, looking at YouTube to make a build, if you look at YouTube to make a build, for me to make a build, if I want to try something else with the druid, I have to make another druid instead of going out for 6 hours, make the money, and then respec inside the Paragon board. I've looked up some things. Not gonna act perfect. It doesn't matter if you are. There's no judging if you looked up something or didn't. I mean, each person's their own. If you want to look up stuff or get some hints from things and then build it into your thing, cool. You can respec just a portion of it. Yeah, and then the reset thing for the Paragon, right? So if I have 5, 6 boards, but I want to change the board over here, I got to delete all this, right? That you have to do at one point at a time. I think look, I'm loving the game. I have 84 hours into the game, right? I'm level 63 with my druid. I'm level 20 with my barbarian. I'm level like 17 with right? I'm loving the game. But there's major flaws with this. With the Paragon system, with the nerfing they're doing, with the dungeons they're doing, with the nightmare dungeons, right? Where the loot drop system, the way that the loot drops in this game, okay, where it can drop from a peon out in the random world, from the lowest tier guy all the way to Lilith, the major boss, right? You can get the best gear from the shittiest thing, or you can get the best gear from the best thing. There's no scaling the higher tier you go for better loot. It's just different loot. Like, there's higher tier loot in tier 4. Just found a raid that grants me 1 additional companion. I didn't even know those existed. Yeah, I got a couple of those. Then I have one ability that my, I think it was my wolf. Everything that my wolf does now counts as earth, and everything that earth does now counts as wolf. It's weird. But to experiment with that, and then to change the stuff, it just, I'm in the belief that I should just be able to respect, right? That I should just be able to respect, right? I'm okay that it costs money, just not an absorbent amount of money. And then if I have to replenish that absorbent amount of money, I got to go grind for 6 hours and pick up everything possible and then scrap everything that's possible, right? This is about talking about respecting players' time, where I should just, like, know how much time would open up, and if you could just respect and try different builds and try different things, but they would rather you invest 40 hours more in a brand new druid, but instead of going up lightning path, now you're going up the companion path, and your build with dexterity or with intelligence or whatnot. It's just it's a dumb like, just bare level game design, especially since your past games, like, they tried something new, but it's worse off than it was in the past. Your zoo build? Oh, for water? Not dumb to them. Makes you spend more time in the game. Sure, but it also validates that it almost demoralizes for certain people. Certain people love the grind, right, Sarge? But other people will get demoralized going, "Oh, I made a mistake, but I don't have the money." Like, for instance, me and First were playing a nightmare, not the nightmare dungeon. We were trying to go up to tier 4. We were under level, and we died and died and died and died and died. I died, like, I don't know how many times. And my armor that cost me like 300 grand, 400 grand. Now, at the point where I'm in the game, I was down to 30 coins because I died so much I lost the money that I was making, right? Well, to build that up, right? As Boss is saying, he's making millions and stuff in the other tier. At the point where I was trying to get up to the next level, I was losing money left and right. So now I have to go out and grind for more stuff to build up, right? So I have to do more dungeons and more things. And that's part of the game, yes. But at the same time, it's just like, I had to grind for 6 hours just so I could repair my stuff or upgrade something, or, you know what I mean? Just grind, just to collect everything. Didn't care what it was, just so I could sell it. Sell it. That's all I did yesterday. I have $8 million, okay? 8.7 million, whatever it is, okay? Just so I could have money. Sold everything that I had. Wasn't scrapping it, just selling it. Picking up all the gold I could, picking up all the gear I could, just so I could get back up to a level. So I'm not in the same situation where if I die and have to repair my gear over and over and over and over, then I'm not broke. That's not making me... That makes me spend more time in the game, but am I enjoying that moment in the game? Because I'll be honest, yesterday when I was doing it, I was just like, I'm not getting any gear. All the gear I'm getting is nothing better than what I already have, right? And I'm selling the stuff, and I'm just like, I'm kind of... Now, mind you, 9 hours in one day, 9.5 hours in one day playing a game would probably burn a lot of people out. Most people don't play games like that. But if you're a regular person, a casual person, like who was saying it, where you work 55, Kylo was working 55 hours, right? 9 hours is probably 2 weeks for him in certain extents when you're working that much, right? So it's almost like demoralizing. where you're like, oh, I had no money. Well, all right, the next 4 times I play the game, I'm gonna be losing, just grinding just to throw money in there. And that's another thing. Re-rolling. I forget one of the re-rolls that I had. Let me go to one of the re-rolls. One of the re-rolls I had, it goes up dramatically. Like, not like 100,000. It goes up. It goes up dramatically. Legendary. What I got here. Yeah, so right now, one of the rolls for this would be 292,000 gold. I know you can't see it, but I have a pair of gloves. It's 292,000. I think if I click on this, the next time I have to upgrade it, I think it goes up 20%, something like that. I had to XP farm if I wanted to hit 100. I just played regular to 89. IGN just tweeted a half hour ago saying that they nerfed more farming dungeons again. Yeah, I said that in the very, very beginning of this. I said they're starting to nerf dungeons, and there's this whole thing that's happening, right? So they nerf a dungeon, you move from that dungeon, you find a different dungeon. They nerf that dungeon, you move to a different dungeon. There's 115 dungeons, right? They'll find, and they said they'll keep nerfing it until people stop doing what they're doing. And I said that water is going to find the path of least resistance. The water is the people that play this game nonstop and find stuff. So the people that are playing the game, they'll find the dungeon, okay? And it's funny because the people that'll find the dungeons, they'll go to, you don't have to be a content creator. Someone will find one and put it on Reddit or Twitter or some social media, and Blizzard's looking at that, and they say, "Yeah, look at this dungeon. We got to nerf this dungeon," and they nerf it. And then what's going to happen is all dungeons will get nerfed at some point. Okay, there was too many elites, so they got rid of the elites. They brought the people down. Then they take the XP or the drop rate, so people will be like, it's not worth doing dungeons anymore. So let's say Hell Tides is the next best thing. Well, then everyone will be farming Hell Tides, and then Blizzard will be like, well, we got to nerf Hell Tides. Drop rates are too good. Things are happening too good. They're making too much XP. They'll nerf that. And then they'll be like, all right, well, it looks like it's Strongholds then. And then they'll be like, well, you can't do Strongholds. Then there'll be events, and they'll nerf events. It's this constant cycle of nerfing stuff until you submit and be like, all right, we're not doing that, right? Sure, Hell Tides are tied, but why do you think world bosses are not here? Because people would farm the world bosses, so they make sure that you don't farm world bosses. They make sure that Hell Tides are every other hour, so you don't farm the Hell Tides, right? They don't want you to farm certain things. They want you to play the game, but they want you to play the game in their certain specific way. They don't want you resetting dungeons over and over and over and over. They don't want you redoing the same stuff and killing the same mobs over and over and over and over. Right? And that the whole point, boss, is that they're going to nerf stuff until, you know what I mean? Until everyone's just like, all right, we're not doing that. But the water is always going to find the crack. Right, and you'll move out of the dungeons, Kylo, into something else. And then they'll find a different way to nerf that. One hour of good XP every 2 hours? Sure, but if you're a person that only plays 1 hour a day and you miss the Hell Tide, you know what I mean? I like doing Hell Tides. Why play the game? Well, you're playing the game because if you're playing the water of Path of Least Resistance, Big Bobby, that's the water. Those are the 1%ers. Let's just say 10%ers, right? Those are the people that are playing nonstop, 6 to I'm like the casual inside there, right? I'm not farming anything yet. I'm just kind of playing the game, but I'm putting like 6 hours in average per day, right? But the guys that are playing 8, 10, 12, that's the water. That's the Path of Least Resistance. They're always going to find the cracks. That's who's doing this, and this is what they're nerfing. Yes, because if you can't exploit something, definitely no reason to play it. Good gear should just drop every feed every 10 minutes. That's not what they're saying, though. That's not what they're saying. See, the people that are grinding have a better chance ratio. They know that if I go into this dungeon and kill this many guys, there's a certain percentage of drops that are happening. That's the best drop rate that could happen. So out of the drop rate, that's the most efficient way to get the drops. They're not asking for drops every 5 seconds. They're working with the system. The system is letting them do that, so that's what they're doing to get the best drops. I don't think anyone's asking for great gear. I mean, I literally played for 9.5 hours yesterday. I didn't get anything. Not one thing. I'm going to play the game because I like the game. I'm not playing the game because I'm asking for a drop every 5 seconds. Right? Like, I've played 84 hours. I'm literally, like, here. I haven't even explored the whole fucking game yet. Like, look. I haven't even explored the whole game yet. I still have gaps open, right? I'm not farming anything. Right? Yesterday when I played, I wasn't even farming. I was just playing the game for 9.5 hours on 2 different streams. I played Nightmare Dungeons, I did Hell Tides, I did quests. I'm enjoying the game playing the way I am. But the people that are Path of Least Resistance, they're not getting stuff because they're being nerfed. They're still not getting gear. I didn't get gear. Am I all of a sudden now I'm disappointed I'm not going to play the game? No, I'm just making a statement in 9.5 hours. I didn't get one roll. Not one piece of gear that I used on my build. Would you recommend it to someone who has never played Diablo? I would. I would recommend it. If you're a person that's looking for a game, and I don't know how much game time you have, Bobby, like how to play. I don't know if you like looters. If you're a super casual player, you'll never ever experience any of the problems that I'm saying right now for the last 2 hours of the problems that these people brought up in the videos that we watched. Okay, you'll never come across it, right? Most people won't even get to level 50 to even experience, because it starts to you start seeing the cracks in the foundation around like 53, 55 about the end game stuff and whatnot, right? Most people, if you're just a casual player, pick it up. You're going to play through the campaign. The campaign, you're going to play tons and tons of hours in, and you're never, ever going to see the problems that I'm talking about. Never. Okay? If you're casual. If you're hardcore, you'll start to see the cracks, and at that point is, do you care? If you don't care, then continue playing. If you care, then you'd be like, I don't want to do that. I don't know if Chapter 8's still here, right? I don't know if you were looking for a game to keep you entertained, because if you're just playing it for story, it's 100% worth it, Chapter 8. Okay? If you're going for a story and leveling up a character and trying different things, the thing that he was talking about, the 11 huge mistakes, you'll never experience that if you're a casual gamer. And you'll move on like in 2 months down the line to play a game to move on to something else. It's the fact that you can get the same gear doing tier 30 nightmare dungeons and doing the public challenge in the world. Right, and that's a major problem. And that's what we brought up in the very beginning. No, boss. See, you're not listening to what he was saying. You're automatically shutting him off, saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. He was giving his experience and what he was doing and why he was walking past the stuff. Just got back. I was busy having a client ask me to help him defraud the state of Alabama. So, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I had my build. What I build from tier 1 lasted me until tier 3. And then in tier 3, I made a change. Right? And I could still do it. The only reason I changed is because I was bored of what I was doing. And then I made the Fat Thor. But that's not what he was complaining about. I know you don't like being a dead horse, so I'm not going to go back to why he was doing what he did, because you don't like dead horses, so we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, so Chapter 8, what I was saying, because Big Bobby was asking, is it worth it? And if you said that watching a video like that kind of turns you off from what the thing. So if you don't like the mechanics of the Paragon system and all that other stuff, then you probably don't want to get the game. But if you're just getting the game to play the story, the single player aspect, you're going to have a ton of stuff to do, and you'll never ever experience the stuff that he was talking about and the huge mistakes to level 100, because that's what the video was titled. The title was of it, 11 huge mistakes I made in Diablo 4, made it to 1 through 100. So you probably, and I'm not saying you individual, but most people won't even make it to 100. They won't even make it to 50. They'll just play the game, and then by the time they get to that point, they'll either be bored, they'll move on after they beat the campaign, or they'll move on to a different game. I'm playing 3 now, first time. What's the difference? Huge difference. Huge difference from 3 to 4. Like stylistic wise, the way you're doing your skill tree, the way you're doing the Paragon system. Diablo 3's Paragon system is like Division's Paragon system. So I don't know if you've played Division, Big Bobby, where you take your watch and you just kind of move the things over and you put points into the thing and that's it. Right? In Diablo 3, it's the same type of thing. You're just putting it in towards strength, you're putting it in towards, intelligence or whatnot. So it's a completely different aspect in Diablo 4. There are 3 other Diablo games that are cheap. Pick one of them up. Nothing wrong with them. True. That's why I wanted the game was just a single player and enjoy the story. I'd rather step onto a Lego 50 times than do the multi. Yeah, what he was talking about from 11 Huge Mistakes that we watched here, if that turned you off, let me make it clear. You'll like the game for the story aspects. You'll enjoy making the 5 different characters and going through and leveling those up. But if you want to dip into the end game, 8, that would be, you're exposed to what it is at the end right now. It's a live service game, so they can always make the changes down the road to make it better. But as of right now, that's the problems with the end game. But if you're only playing it for the single player and maybe dabbling into the end game a little bit, you'll be fine. Yeah, so here, if you notice inside the Bobby, this is the Paragon level. This is the watch in Division, right? But instead of picking intelligence and then taking 10 points and then putting it into intelligence, you can't do that in this game. Okay, so what you have to do in this game is, as you can tell, they're random on the board. Okay, so you start down here, and then you have to pick, right? You have to pick either, for your first one, you have to pick willpower, you have to pick intelligence, or you have to pick willpower. So there's 2 willpowers and intelligence, right? So if you didn't want to do any willpower and stuff, you have to waste a point in willpower, and then you get to choose. Okay, well, now I'm up here. Now I can either go willpower this direction, or I can go intelligence that direction. Okay? Where in Division, if you're doing the watch, you would just grab that and go, I want to put all my thing into strength. I want to put all my thing into intelligence. Okay? In this, you have a path, and you're stuck with the path until you get to a crossroad. And when you get to a crossroad, you're like, all right, well, I was looking for max life, or I can go for max life. But if you're looking for anything else, you have to spend a point in max life just to get to the next point, which is damage. And then the next point, which is willpower. When the next point is intelligence. And then you get to a certain point, and then you get to these glyphs. And when you get to the glyphs say resolve. For every 5 willpower purchase within this range, so you put the glyph that you want, and any willpower in this red circle, right? So that's willpower. For every willpower that's in this circle, I would get an additional 0.5% increase. So then you have to just make the choice of, all right, well, if I want to, my next point, do I want to spend a point in here just so I can get 1 point more of increased damage? Okay. And then as you level up, it gets bigger, the circumference, and then you can get wider spread here. So if I've got willpower, if I level this up to, I think it's 15, I think is the level it has to go up to before it spreads. And then if it spreads, then it'll hit, basically you can see the circumference it would hit. Okay. It would cover this whole spectrum. And then every willpower within the spectrum would be every 2 is 1 point. So here's 1 point, here's 1 point, here's 1 point, here's 1 point. So that's 3 points, 4 points. I can get 4 extra points of damage because of this. If I take all the points and stick it into the willpower within the circumference once I level up the glyph. That seems complicated for no reason. It absolutely is, Big Bobby. It absolutely is. Right? It's overthought for no reason, right? Instead of you just picking like in Diablo 3 or Division where you just take your and put it into that skill, they make you jump through hoops and stuff just to more time in the game is basically the decision they decided, right? Then once you get to this point, you pick a new card, okay? You pick a new card. And then within the card, there's glyph sockets, and then there's also different things. Like I'm working towards this rare Stormcaller node, okay? But before I can pick this, I have to have my dexterity up to 260 dexterity. So I can do that in 2 different ways. I can put a piece of gear on that gives me more dexterity to put more towards that, or I can buy the dexterity around it to put that dexterity towards it. And then once I hit that thing, I have to then purchase this, and then it would activate this, and then it would be 10% more storm skill damage and 10 willpower. Okay? So you start to see the things that are happening here. So then you can start moving things moving things, and then it starts to scale over time. Right? Because now on this one, I get 8% damage reduction, vulnerable enemies, 10% willpower, and I do 2.6% damage while in human form, which right now I'm not in human form, so I'm losing that. So that's not even happening for me right now. So I have to actually do my build where I'm back to human form because of this. Or remove this off of this and then pick something else to do. So there's a lot of different ways you can make your build and do your stuff. And this is what we were talking about earlier. And this is where it gets a little murky, where it was a turnoff for Chapter 8 because they were like, well, I don't want to do all of this, right, type of stuff. But if you're just getting it for the single player game, and the reason I'm describing it to you, Big Bobby, because you said your Division, and Division's much easier, and Diablo 3 is much easier. In Diablo 3, you just click the thing and pick what you want and put it towards it. Not in this. In this, it's overcomplicated. But to keep you in, right? To keep you into the game. And it all comes down to really, why do they want you in the game? Is because there's cosmetics in the game, and the more longer you're in the game, you're more enjoying yourself in the game. There's more reason that maybe you'll purchase a microtransaction. That's their end thing. So, again, I'm enjoying it, but I'm starting to see the cracks in the foundation. And here, you know, I like making new guys. I don't think I'll ever get a character. Maybe my druid will get up to level 100, but I seriously doubt it. Right? So I made one of each character because I want to test them out. So I have a 20 barbarian. I have a rogue that's level 5. I have a necromancer that's 7, and then I have a sorcerer that's level 10. Right? And I'll go, and I like that's my itch, right? I like building the characters up and seeing if I can make a good build with them. But then the farther you get into the game, it starts to get more grindy, which is good because that's what you want in a looter. But there's a lot of things in the game as far as loot drop and what it is that's just kind of not good. Appreciate that, X Factor. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. Playing the way I'm playing right now, boss. By season 1, I might be in the 80s with my druid. That's if I keep continuing putting the time towards the druid. I'm also not running in a group. I'm not doing group dungeons. We did it last night a little bit. But I'm not running group dungeons. I'm running mostly solo. So I'll probably, I want to say like low 80s by the time season 1 comes around. That's if I put all time towards druid and I don't vary, which is not going to happen. So it'll be rough. What do I have? Like a month? Another 4 weeks? I'm going up maybe maybe a level a day. I think yesterday I went up 2 levels, maybe a level and a half. I'll share this one tip. Ignore attack power. Number is meaningless number, and you need to look at your class required stats. Yeah, but the attack number, right? And let me know, maybe I'm wrong here. Obviously, it all depends on what your build is with vulnerability, overpower, all the other stuff, right? But your base attack number, if you're at 5,000, someone else is at 2,000, and you have your thing gelling, you're going to do more damage than the person at 2,000, right? Because it's 2,000 and then exponentially 200 times, 200% of this, 150% of that, right? Because all of this, here. I'm a tier 4. What's the difference between ancestral and sacred? Ancestral is the higher gear. Okay, so like my attack power right here. Okay, like obviously I'm trying to get more vulnerable. I only have 20% vulnerable. There's other people out there that have like 400% vulnerable or whatnot. My overpower charge is where I do most of my damage, right? So based on my build, doing 242, right? I melt people, right? In my build. So here, I'll go out here real fast. Let's just go to this first event over here. I can't even pick that up. The math power is not right. So you're saying it's broke at the moment, is what you're saying. Right? I have to get my spirit up. Right? I don't get touched. I don't have enough spirit. This is why I call it the Fat Thor build. Because I literally just stand in one spot. I don't have to move. I don't have to adjust. And because the way the scaling works, once you are a once you're a badass, you're basically there. If you have a high attack, you get great skills, and the stats you get less attack power with great stats. When it comes to sacrificing gear that loses what is that damage crit, like 20 AP, is bad. If you focus on attack power, then you may not be able to maintain the during long fights because you run out of class resources. I mean, I've done really long battles with world bosses, and my build right now I can solo a world boss because I'm tanky. I'm talking the 100 up. Well, even look at the weapon for 20 AP. Come on, points still stands for AP, not 20 points more, but 100 or more means more. Sure. But right now in my tier, everything dies to me in this tier. Once I get to tier 4, I'll have to adjust my build a little bit to try to build it up, and then once I get there, it'll be the same. Like the way I have my build, it's not the best right now, but I have the Hurricane active gains ranks for shapeshifting, right? And then I have my shapeshifting for my bear, because I turn into a bear right now. Okay, werebear from now, tuned from your game. I just got this, testing it out type of thing. My lightning storm does critical dances with bolts, right? Damage to elite grants me a barrier, so that gives me more strength. When you're crowd controlled enemies, which is the poison I have where it grabs the guys, okay, then I do my hurricane, then hits them. Critical strike with the shred deals 40% more damage, dealing lightning damage, which is what I'm based on. Okay, bonus amount for your next Earthen Bulwark. So when I put my shield on, I get 100% max of the crowd control, which is with the poison. Okay, I do 6% increased damage for each second you stand still, up to 30%. Okay, and then I have the core skill hits 5 more enemies, 25% of the resources, and you get refunded. Right, so I need that higher, and then basically I'm trying to get to a build where I can just stand there, and as I hit it, it just refills and refills and refills, and I don't have to go and do what I did where I have to hit a couple times and then spend it again. But I can't find anything. 9.5 hours, and I can't find anything. Because if I hit like 2-3 swings, then my thing fills up, and then I use my lightning 6-7 times, whatever it is. Then I have to hit 2 times, and then I can hit him again. The longer I stand still, the more damage I do. For a little bit, not worth losing a bucket of damage. Right. I'm trying to build up my thing, but I can't find anything. All the stuff I got yesterday at 9.5 hours, I got nothing. Not one thing will help my build, and that's what I'm a little upset about. I want to build more vulnerable. My weapon, the weapon that I'm trying to get, I'm trying to find. I have the crit damage. I have the damage injured enemies and stuff. I'm looking for overpower. I'm looking for vulnerable, and I'm looking for crit damage all in the same weapon. I have willpower. I'm looking for willpower, damage, vulnerable, all that on one weapon. Like I watched yesterday, I watched a level 40 sorcerer come over to me, right? And they were doing an event with me. It's just me and them. And they were freezing things and murdering things within seconds. And they were 20 levels lower than me. There's a good chance that Disney is selling Lucasfilm to a billionaire in Saudi Arabia. Supposedly, he was a huge fan of Star Wars and wants to bring back the old magic of the film. Well, good for him. If hopefully, I don't care who owns it, as long as they just make good stories. I don't care if Gatorade buys Lucasfilms, as long as Gatorade can make good movies. I don't care. We playing Division 2 tonight, Sarge? Maybe Brondo. Yeah. What's going on, Mr. Hale? Mr. Hall, sorry. I don't know why I said Hale. All right, so the videos that we watched today were just showing a couple of the problems that are in this game. If you're a person that plays this game and you think there's no problems, that's a problem. There are problems with this game. It's not earth-shattering like the sky is falling or anything like that. It's just problems with the game that shouldn't be in the game at the start because they've made games that were better than this in the past, that they could have just done the exact same type of thing and then improved on those. Instead, they kind of deleted them and then started with a brand new thing. So it's just showing the actual flaws with the game. One of my biggest pet peeves is the UI system, not the actual look of it. But if you look at like so for instance, if I hover over this, the first jewel, the menu goes off of my character sheet, okay? But the farther I go to the right, or to the right, okay, it starts to creep in on the actual character sheet, right? And then it goes on the character sheet, and then it like blocks the stuff, right? So if you do this with the compare screen on, it then literally covers up the entire thing if it's over, right? So they need to fix this. Okay, because I even lowered the size of the stuff, and it still crosses over. It needs to just go on the other side, never crossing over the character sheet, stuff like that, right? So you can actually see what's happening. So if I have this open, okay, I should be able to look at this and then also open up and compare and whatnot. That's a pet peeve of mine, but they should be able to do that in a game like this, right? Because other looter RPGs that you play on the internet, okay, on the PC or anywhere else, has already fixed this problem, and this is a problem that they've put in the game. The storage, I hope that's not true, that they're going to put the storage behind the season pass, and if it is in the season pass, hopefully, or for seasons, I should say, not the season pass, but for the seasons, if it is in the seasons, then hopefully it's in the free track or whatever for the seasons, or the battle pass, whatever. I know battle pass is different than the seasons. I'm just saying I hope that they're putting it towards something where I don't have to actually pay money. Now, they didn't say only cosmetics. I don't know if that would be considered as pay to win or whatnot, but hopefully the rumor is not true that they're putting it inside the seasons to get more stash. Maybe during the first season, maybe they'll open up more stashes that you can purchase or whatnot. Or maybe if if they bring in tier 5 like they're supposed to, maybe they'll open up another stash as you go up, right? Maybe there's only 4 stashes because there's 4 tiers, and then you go to a 5th stash, 5th tier. Who knows? Go on, Ford. Yeah, if it's paid season pass to get more inventory slots, I'm done playing. Yeah, and I said that. Tiny. If they put that behind any kind of paywall to get more stashes behind anything I have to pay for, like if I want to play the seasons, sure. If it's just behind the seasons and there's no money and I have to play the season, if it's the last thing in the seasons, I think that's a little scummy as well, because what about if I don't want to partake in that seasons, but I still want more inventory space type of thing? But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I don't need to go into that without knowing if it's going to be there or not. Yeah, Ford, the whole aspecting of covering, like, this shouldn't be a thing, right? This shouldn't be a thing where it's covering up the stat sheet. So if you guys like this, we do these shows, not this every day, but we do shows. We either do streaming in the morning, play video games, we do talks, we watch videos, we do different things, have a conversation. It's all about the community in this channel. You know, I doesn't matter if you're a member of the channel or not. I try to read everything in the chat. I try to bring people into the conversations. We have, you know, we go back and forth between each other. We don't try to make someone feel. Don't we have good conversations? Like me and Boss always go back and forth with each other, right? Through our Discord, even in here, we're both grown adults. We don't take anything to heart. You know what I mean? And that's why I like Boss. Boss, even though he pushes and says certain things, I like him because he's a grown adult and we can have conversations. So if you like this type of content, please make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. We got over a little bit today. We also have streams in the evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern, okay, where we play video games. Tonight we're going to be playing Division 2 with Sarge. And we also do a podcast tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's called Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Appreciate it very much. I'm done for the day. I'm going to go spend the rest of the time hanging out with my son because it's summertime. He just got back from camp, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out, and I appreciate it. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can become a member as little as $5. Peace.
Hello, what have we here?